Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto destroys Sasuke during the Chunin exams part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Naruto walked home late that night as he had drowned his sorrows at the ramen stand, deflating much of his once oversized frog wallet. The slightly smaller frog wallet itself in question had been slowly expanding with money for some time, since most of the village shopkeepers and restaurant businesses chased him out with broomsticks, or whatever was in their hands on. On most of the occasions that they did, the objects they would use to scare and chase him out with were sharp ones like knives and stabbing like weapons. The blonde-haired boy was 11 years old and had just finished trying to pass the Genin exam once again at the Ninja Academy. It was an academy where he wanted to learn to be obviously a ninja to eventually become the all-powerful and almighty Hokage. It was his dream to become a Hokage, and then eventually surpass all of them, making him the greatest. Sadly, today had not been his day like the last time he had tried, and this time he had pushed himself twice as hard as the last time. With a fake smile on his face and a happy stomach now filled to the brim with tasty ramen of multiple flavors, Naruto headed home, ignoring the hateful stares of people out at night from both villagers and ninja alike. Naturally, Naruto did not like the dark looks from everyone very much, and at the same time he didn't even know why they hated him so much. Well, besides the small pranks he pulled on them every now and then, which were mostly harmless. The most harmful thing he had done was have a few of the stores with customers inside that had been mean to him be temporarily consumed in purple or pink paint after one of his paint bombs went off locked in a scroll when they were opened. Despite their threats that they were going to report to the Hokage about what he did, he was only brought before the third Hokage, noticeably around second or third offense. I'll talk to old man Hokage about giving me help tomorrow, seeing as it's that time of the week when paperwork is the lowest for him, thought Naruto as he had more than his fair share of visits to the Hokage's office for some of his more serious pranks. When Naruto did sit before the Hokage, the elderly man looked at him with eyes that one would see in a gentle grandfather. Grandfather-like eyes that told Naruto he understood the boy's inner pain of being alone and wanting attention, since he did not have the kind and loving parents like most children his age. Unfortunately, though, it still did not grant Naruto the immunity of doing several hours of community service on required days under a watchful ninja supervision. The reason was that there had been times when working at a house that the person or people living there had tried to secretly kill or severely injure the boy, forcing the ninja watching from the shadows to interfere on the boy's behalf. That's another thing I have to talk to the old man about. Maybe he will finally tell me and not change the subject like he's done in the past. It's almost as if I did something wrong, but what I did was so bad it made everyone hate me. But did I do to make everyone like that even before my prank started? Said Naruto in a very low whisper, feeling that talking to himself would give him the answers he wanted to his question. But his mind could not give him the answer he wanted. He shook it off for the moment as he headed back to his apartment, and dreaded landlord who he could swear to the 4 Hokage heads above that the old bastard of a man had been stealing money from within his apartment. Naruto entered the slightly decaying on the outside looking building while ignoring the looks from what few tenants were in the hall area that he passed by. Just as he was about to enter, his sickly old landlord popped his head out with a look of disgust on his face at seeing the boy was still alive. "Hey brat. I want another few hundred ryo from you tomorrow for this month's rent," said Jean, the old man landlord, who knew perfectly well he had been already paid in full by the boy since the boy got an allowance from the third Hokage himself. "You have this month's rent from me, so I do not have to give you any more for this stupid month, old coot. Why do you not actually bother the other tenants who don't pay their rent?" said Naruto, unlocking his apartment door with the key he had. "Hey, you listen to me, you damn brat. I'm the landlord of this place, and whether you like it or not I can raise the rates of any part of this apartment complex higher than the other. If you don't like it, then you can get the hell out," said Jean, as he didn't like it when little demon boys told him what to do, as he had seen and felt the power of the 9-tailed fox demon sealed inside the boy. "Maybe I will when I go see the Hokage tomorrow and tell him that you're bother someone who pays rent while you don't lift a finger to those who don't. Maybe he can fire you for doing a piss-poor job," said Naruto, opening the door, entering, shutting, and then locking it to prevent Jean from coming at him with his cane. Judging from the look on the old man, that was any indication, Jean probably would have tried to come at Naruto even if the cane was reinforced with solid steel. Even now Jean was pounding on his door, cursing and raving about lousy brats, and not respecting their elders who were much smarter than the boy. "You little bastard, I'm warning you right now. If you don't give me the money tomorrow that I ask for, I'm evicting you. Hokage's orders be damned," said Jean beyond the door before stomping away, cane and all. "Lousy old man, I'm not paying him any more than he deserves, and when I go to see the Hokage tomorrow I'm going to make sure he knows what that old fart said to me," said Naruto as he headed for his bedroom, taking off his white shirt with orange spiral on it before falling into bed face first with just his black pants on. Unknown to Naruto as he slept, however, was that the landlord had no intention of Naruto even seeing the third Hokage, much less expecting the boy to live past tonight. He had secretly talked to a low-level Chunin-level ninja whose parents had died at the hands of nine-tailed demon fox Kyubi those 11 years ago. Originally the ninja didn't have the knowledge of Kyubi's existence within Naruto, though after the landlord spoke very discreetly with the ninja, the hatred for the boy as seeing him as the Kyubi flared to no end, with only revenge in his mind against the demon fox. So Jin and the Chunin-level ninja came to an agreement that after the boy left on this particular for his home to sleep, the ninja would sneak in via window to the bedroom and kill the demon boy in his sleep, thus killing the demon fox inside of him. Soon I'll have that annoying brat out of my hair, and the demon within him making me a hero. Then the people will flock to this place where the demon died that I helped kill, and I will make a fortune in the process, thought Jin as he could only imagine the money he was going to make off of the boy's death, as he himself slowly went to sleep with the perfect alibi that was available to him for being old, as he did what all old people do, sleep. The low-level Chunin ninja in question crept up the wall silently to the window that the Jin had left open for him to enter, knowing the demon boy was too clueless to even realize his window had been opened by someone other than him. Time to die, Kyubi. Then and only then will my parents' souls rest in peace, thought the Chunin, who was masked and covered from head to foot so he couldn't be identified as the man who did what the fourth Hokage could not, slay the Kyubi. The Chunin entered the room leaping over Naruto's bed with Naruto in it looking as the boy turned over onto his back, his stomach with the seal exposed in the moonlight that entered the window. The very seal that the fourth Hokage gave his life to put on the boy to contain the monster that was Kyubi. Now you monster, I'm going to do to you what should have been done when you were put into this child. I'm going to kill you and then I'll become a hero of the people just like the fourth Hokage was when he watched over this village, said the Chunin as he took out his sword from his back, raised it over his head with the sword point downward towards the seal, ready to thrust it into the sleeping and unsuspecting child below him. He did just that, however. Just as he was about to make contact with the seal, it came to life with a demonic orange-reddish-like glow, knocking the Chunin back several feet onto his back. When he looked back at the boy, what he saw scared the shit out of him to no end, as a hand was now rising out of seal. It was soon followed by an arm and a head with only one cold, ruthless, and evil-looking eye. It was not long before the figure left the prison of a seal, completely stepping on solid ground, cracking his neck back and forth. Then the unknown being started stretching and cracking other joints with the figure's body. "Ah, the smell of a living body," said the figure, breathing in air heavily as he looked around, now dressed in half orange, half a shadowy black, with strange-looking metal arm as well as leg bands, with a strange-looking metal masked face and one eye. "Who the hell are you?" said Chunin, reading his sword in case he was in for the fight of his life, which his instincts told him that he was. The figure cocked his head slightly to the right, then back again before looking over at Naruto's form, before putting his index finger up to his mouth to silence the man from waking the boy. "Shoes. We don't want to wake up the boy, do you? He's had a rough day and needs his rest." "Double sound barrier jutsu," said the masked figure as he now went through several dozen hand seals before activating the power of the jutsu. "I've never heard of a double sound barrier jutsu. What is it?" said the Chunin, gripping his sword tighter, looking between the figure and Naruto, wondering if he could still kill the boy if he still tried. "It's quite a genius technique, really, as it creates a sound barrier over someone inside of the room so they don't listen in on conversations, while creating a second sound barrier around the room to prevent anyone outside the room from listening in. As for not hearing about it, I just created it some few months ago, while inside the boy. The very same boy that you were about to kill just now," said the figure. His voice at the end went from casual to a very dangerous to near threatening tone as the one eye narrowed dangerously at the Chunin. "Wait. Did you just say you were inside him? Then that means you're Kyubi," said the Chunin, backing away towards the door of the bedroom only to find it was strange as it was locked. "Please, mortal, that is a name you people gave me, and to me such a name has no meaning if it is not real to who I am. Though I feel you do deserve to know my name before I kill you and send you into hell." "My name is Slade," said Slade, moving at inhuman speed, and grabbed the Chunin ninja by the throat into the wall, squeezing the now gasping man to death. "Wait. I have information," said the Chunin, knowing if he could hold out long enough he could somehow escape from this thing, then he could warn the Hokage, which in turn would force his leader to kill the boy to protect the village. "Depending on what you say will depend on your life's value to me, thus not having me kill you in a painful manner," said Slade before kneeing him in the stomach, making the Chunin drop his sword onto the ground. The landlord Jin. He hired me to kill the boy. He did it in order to try and profit from his act, I mean your death," said the Chunin, who now saw two of the Kyubi, now calling itself Slade, narrowed its eye dangerously. "I'm well aware of that fact, fool. In fact, you are just one of many who have tried to hurt and kill the boy when you are not trying to stunt his development at being a ninja. Let us have you try telling me something I don't already know from being inside the poor boy for over a decade," said Slade, punching the man in the side, fracturing and breaking 5 out of 6 of the Chunin's left ribs, making the man want to scream in pain if his poor throat wasn't so hard pressed against Slade's metal-covered right hand. All right. Groans in pain, you're your vessel, that is Nar Naruto. He should have passed the genin exam at the ninja academy not once, but both times, said the Chunin, whose eyes were closed from the pain that he was feeling on the left side of his ribs as he felt as if one was intruding through his left lung. Really? My now this little man, this is interesting news. Do you know how they prevented Naruto from passing the genin exam? Did those who told you what you know so far not give that little piece of information, or did they decide in the interest of secrecy not tell you that little piece of info? Said Slade as he squeezed tighter on the throat just before he slammed his fist into the man's left kneecap. Ah! They said something about a genjutsu that was being used on his test papers. The genjutsu would look like a test from another exam, so he wouldn't be able to answer the tests correctly. Then when the genjutsu was dispelled later, they would mark his test wrong, thus failing him. That's all I know, I swear, said the Chunin as the intense pain his body was feeling was indescribable, and was now a breath away from blacking out. That's a good boy. Your information that you just told me will come in handy when I go to speak to your third Hokage about these types of indiscretions against my vessel. As payment for telling me, I will grant you a swift and near painless death, said Slade as his hand around the man's throat was now covered in fire spreading through the man's body before the Chunin screamed right before his body was turned to ashes in Slade's hand. With the Chunin ninja now dead, Slade turned his attention to the boy that was his vessel that still slept in the bed as if nothing had happened. Slade dispelled the first half of the jutsu that was surrounding Naruto before looking out the window out towards Konoha. Well, at least it's cleaner than the last time I was here before the attack I launched on this place. Though Jump City was my personal favorite of a city to be in. Oh well, beggars can't be choosers, and I am either nor will I be. Time to get down to business, but first I need to take care of despicable landlord of his, and I know just how to do it. He thought Slade as he turned to the boy and gave him a pat on his head, which Naruto tried to flick away, moving as if he were in a fight. Save your energy, my boy, you're going to need it for when the real training comes and not from the ones in your dreams, said Slade, also known simply as the Great Kyuubi, the great and power nine-tailed fox demon that turned around, leaving the boy in the room and Naruto's apartment, heading towards the landlord's right down the hall. 5 minutes later, Jean woke up to the sound of polite knocking at his door, and smiled to himself, knowing that the deed was done, and the Kyuubi brat or demon boy was no more. Soon it would be time to spread the word the boy was dead, and the wealth pouring in. Naturally, the ninja assassin that was the Chunin he hired would get a significant chunk of the pay, seeing as either one could back out of the deal without facing the third Hokage's wrath. However, Jin's smiling face changed when he opened the door, seeing that it was not the ninja he hired, but someone of much taller, stronger, and intimidating stature to him than his assassin ever was. "Who the hell are you?" said Jin, his foul tongue not hiding any of the venom in his voice, because this meant the deal was still in motion of being complete for him. "The name is Slade. I'm here to talk to you about one of your tenants that currently resides on this floor with you. I believe his name is Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto is his full name, to be more precise," said Slade as he slightly narrowed his eye to gauge the man's response. "What about the brat? If you want his apartment, you have to wait a while, as his eviction is going to be quite an eyesore and eyesore all in one for this village. Once he has been, what's the word I'm looking for, disposed of, I'll give it you with the first 2 months free, and you can redecorate it any way you want it. Till then, leave me the hell alone," said Jean, who moved to shut the door only to have middle finger from Slade block the man from shutting the door completely. "I think you have misunderstood me, sir. I am not here in regards to removing Naruto's presence from your housing complex. I'm here in regards to removing you from here and from Naruto's presence," said Slade, who then punched the old man from the gap in the door before the man could react, sending him flying back several feet into a nearby coffee table. "What are you saying, you idiot? Don't you know about that boy? He is the nine-tailed fox demon Kyuubi reborn in a human body. If he is killed now, then he will never grow up with a second chance to kill us a second time," said Jean, who was surprised this man would even defend the beast. "You will forgive me if I don't sound so shocked, as you are not the first person who has said that about Naruto with a different point of view. Nonetheless, you are a threat to the boy and therefore a threat to me, since I live within him," said Slade in a dangerous yet still calm voice as he extended his right hand and let a demonic orange-reddish flame that turned into an enlarged hand towards Jean, grabbing him and sending him into the wall. "Ayaha! What the? How can you be the Kyuubi? You don't look like a demonic fox to me," said Jean as the flaming hands squeezing his old frail body into ashes and bone dust. "With that remark, I don't know if I should feel like I have been complimented or insulted by you, but regardless, either way, you are thin ice. After all, such flattery towards me will get you nowhere," said Slade, squeezing the old man with his fire extension of a hand. "Wait. If you let me live, I will be your loyal servant and help you get out of that pesky brat you are a vessel of," said Jean, hoping Kyuubi would listen to him if he were offered a chance for freedom from Naruto's body. "Thank you for the offer, But I must decline, seeing as I rather like my vessel, and it would be a dishonor to his father and mother if I didn't protect him from dying from people like you," said Slade as he continued to squeeze even more of what remained of life out of the old man before the old man was nothing more than what he was aiming for: ashes and dust. "Now that is taken care of, I need to make sure no one goes investigating, which means I have to destroy this place while at the same time take Naruto somewhere where he can have a solid ironclad alibi. It wouldn't really hurt to have as a precaution in case he is accused of doing it because of my shining influence. People always used to say be careful of faulty wiring," thought Slade as he went over to the TV with the plug behind it before peeling away the wiring and making it catch slightly on fire. But he put a small, but still quite powerful containment jutsu barrier around the fire so when the time came it would spread when he removed the barrier with a mere mental thought. Slade then went to the gas-powered oven and turned on the gas to a setting between low and medium, but at the same time kept the opening of oven thin to give time for the gas to leak out, giving him at least 5 or 6 hours to go before he would leave with Naruto to some place in the village while this part of the complex went boom. "Now for phase 2 of the plan," said Slade as he left this apartment, and went straight back to Naruto's as there were some things that needed be said then and now. Naruto stirred slightly in his slumber only to find that someone was jostling him from his sleep rather urgently, causing him to wake up. Out of instinct, Naruto tried to punch the unknown figure in somewhere on the body, whether it was the person's face or someplace else. He wasn't exactly the most liked person in all of Konoha after all, and his landlord was proof enough as it was. What Naruto felt with fist connecting with when his mind became more conscious was a metal-covered hand, or rather palm, now closing around it slowly. "Who's that? Who's there?" said Naruto, trying to remove his trapped fist from the enclosed palm while trying to see clearly in the darkness of his room. "As much as I would like to humor myself by indulging you on who would win this little battle of the fists in the dark, we don't have time," said Slade, letting go of Naruto's hand and turned on a light in his room, but not before he closed the blinds and tightened them shut so no one would know he was awake. "Who are you? Are you some crazy villager trying to kill me for some stupid reason, or did that crazy old landlord hire you to beat me up to take money from me?" said Naruto, getting into an amateurish, but still promising fighting stance. "The name is Slade. As to your second question, I'm not a crazy villager out to kill you for whatever reason they have against you. As for your landlord, I think he's taking a nap right now considering his old age," said Slade, lying about the last part before turning around, moving over to a splintery, cracking, and nearly unstable chair, sitting on it as if it were the safest thing to sit on in the world, and sat down in it. "So who exactly are you? I mean, I know your name, which sounds pretty cool from the way you said it, but could you tell me more?" said Naruto, looking at the man with the strange metal face and one eye. Slade sat there for a good full minute considering his options on telling Naruto everything and not just a half-truth lie of sorts to make the boy trust him. If he told him everything, it could make the boy unstable and possibly freak out on him, thus make things very much more difficult for him to handle the boy. If Slade told only half the truth, then lied all the same to gain Naruto's trust, and then got caught in one of the lies, then the boy wouldn't trust him later when he would much stronger from his tutelage. No one like it when they are lied to, and when you channel that anger into the teachings given to you, then anything you face becomes a wall that must be destroyed. Quite frankly, Slade did not want to be that wall that needed to be destroyed, as he wanted to help the boy, as he was the uninvited guest inside of him. "Okay, Naruto, I'll tell you, but when I do you may not like what you are going to hear," said Slade, getting the boy's already full undivided attention. "You see, Naruto, approximately 11 years ago, when you had just been born, a great and powerful 9-tailed demon fox simply named and dubbed Kyubi attacked. The leader of this village at the time was the 4th Hokage and was considered the greatest of all the Hokages that came before him. After many shinobi and ninja died trying to stop this great beast, your 4th Hokage called forth a forbidden technique that called forth the death god, who in exchange for the Hokage's life sealed him in newborn child. Should the child die, then the demon inside of him, whose life is now connected to the child, would then die with his human vessel," said Slade, waiting for this information to sink into the boy's thick skull. "Wait a sec. The history books in school and the teachers themselves said that the 9-tailed fox that was Kyubi was killed by the 4th, not sealed. If what you are telling me is true, then who was this boy Kyubi was sealed into?" said Naruto, as he had a deep feeling in his gut that he was about to be hit with a bombshell of worry and sadness not caused by expired milk or hate-filled words by villagers. "That boy, Naruto, that boy that holds the most powerful of all the 9 demon lords of this world is none other than you," said Slade, pointing to Naruto, who took all of the 10 seconds of silence in the room to properly absorb this information. Naruto was an 11-year-old boy with great dreams and thought nothing could ever stop them from being a reality. Despite the adults' hatred for him, despite the pain they gave him, and despite every obstacle they threw at him. However, the news that Slade had just told him about himself, and who was inside, was throwing everything into a whole new yet still similar perspective. He now knew why he was hated, why people had hurt him when he was younger, and why he was chased away from people's businesses, their restaurants, and even other kids his or close to his age. "So that's why. How do you know all of this?" You don't look like a ninja, and I'm pretty sure that old man Hokage would have told me eventually when I was old enough to understand this. Right, said Naruto, making Slade's eye raise up slightly in surprise at the boy's observant skills, seeing as he always seemed oblivious to everything around him, like a certain Hyuga girl who blushed just by merely looking at the boy. First, I would just like to say you are handling this pretty well and not freaking out as I had expected you to. Second, the reason no one has told you was because no one felt you needed to know, possibly out of fear of the QB waking up. Third, I know these things because, well, you see, gets up from chair, I am the QB in human form, said Slade, waiting for the kid to have a spaz attack and reach for the sharpest thing near him to kill or defend himself. Surprisingly, Naruto just sat there as if lost in his own little world of his, with a shocked and completely horrified for the first 30 seconds. You did this to me. I hate you, yelled Naruto, dashing forward, fist aiming directly for Slade's slightly surprised face, as he expected the boy to do anything else than this. But the boy was always full of surprises from what he saw through the boy's eyes. Something that was now all too simple to understand for the nine-tailed demon lord, as Naruto's fist collided with Slade's metal-masked skull, that was followed by another, and then another, before it was followed up with a vicious roundhouse kick to the temple of human-looking QB. Naruto was about to finish him off with jackknife jump kick when Slade moved and then caught the attack in a fraction of a second with his right hand before swinging the angry boy into the nearest wall that was on his right, before pinning the boy there with the help of his left hand on the boy's throat. Then with his arms he maneuvered them to suppress most of the boy's still struggling to fight movements. You need to calm down, Naruto, as I am not the big bad demon you think I am. Hear me out, and if you do not like what you hear, I'll help you end your life, thus ending mine, said Slade, knowing that if he were to ever get on Naruto's good side to trust him, he would have to tell him everything. Naruto eventually stopped struggling almost instantly when he saw into Slade's one eye and saw the pure seriousness of the situation, and how serious the man, if he could be called that, was. You got 5 minutes before I find a knife and put it through my throat, said Naruto, not wanting to Slade to think he was just going to have time to draw out a lie or two to get him in his favor. That is all the time I need, Naruto, said Slade, smiling behind his metal mask, putting the boy down and gesturing for him to sit on the bed so he could tell his side of the story. Naruto scowled at the man that was QB, now naming himself Slade, before he finally sat down on the bed, while Slade just stood there with his hands behind his back, with his eyes slightly narrowed as he stared at him. This is the truth, Naruto. As you know, every Kage, before he or she steps down and retires from old age, appoints his or her successor to take their place. As you obviously know, the fourth Hokage replaced the third before his untimely and tragic death at my hands. Due to the fourth's death, the third came out of his retirement to retake his position as Hokage until a new successor could be named, said Slade, wanting the boy to know this one delicate piece at a time. We already went over this in school about the Hokages being nominated, so how is this relevant? Said Naruto, getting slightly impatient with 1.5 minutes gone with 3.5 to go. I'm getting to that, Naruto. You see, at the time of naming a potential successor who would surpass the third Hokage, for when he retired there were 3 possible choices. The first was the fourth Hokage himself. His name was Kazama Erasure. Second was, believe it or not, third Hokage's own student, now Snake Sannin, named Orochimaru. And the third and final candidate was from the Hyuga clan branch family named Hyuga Hizashi, who was the twin brother of the clan head Hyuga Hayashi. Naturally, as you can tell, Erasure earned the title and honor of being the fourth Hokage, as well as the right to being the third successor. However, it did not go so well with the Snake Sannin that was Orochimaru, and turned rogue on the village, said Slade, wondering if he could tell Naruto who his father was without having the boy blow a head gasket. So how is this new? We were all told this at the academy. We saw him in what we call a bingo book when it was passed around, said Naruto, who had heard all of this before, though he was slightly curious how Slade, as he called himself, knew about that. Years later, after the Snake Sannin went rogue at the time of my attack, I was in fact on my way here to deliver a special gift to the fourth Hokage, as he was a good dear friend of mine, said Slade, but was interrupted by Naruto, who, when he heard the last few words from Slade, burst out in anger at the man. Liar! You killed the fourth Hokage, how could you be his friend? Said Naruto, who shot out of his bed, looking Slade right in the man's eye, not afraid of him in the least. Let me finish, Naruto, I still have some time left. As I was on my way here to give him my special gift in celebration for his wife, who would soon give birth to a child in a few months, I was intercepted by the snake, and he hit me in a surprisingly unstable genjutsu attack. It made me deranged and full of rage as I lashed out at everything and everyone in sight that got too close to me. Though my visions was hazed, I do remember getting a good chunk of the Snake Sannin's ribs before my psychotic episode took complete control over me, that forced me into transforming into my giant demon fox form that everyone in the village remembers me being. After that little event happened, I can even now only just slightly remember following the snake's bloody trailed scent to Konoha, thus causing me to kill everything that moved around me. It is quite the opposite of how I am when I fight, and once was before I became the 9-tailed demon fox that everyone has referred to as QB, said Slade, his voice drifting off slightly as if his last sentence being more of an afterthought. So it this Orochimaru guy's fault. He was the one who made you go crazy attacking the village and the fourth Hokage making him give up his life for it by sealing you in me? When I find him I'm going to beat the crap out of him for both you and the fourth's sake. Wait. What did you mean when you said before I became? That almost sounds as if you were not always a demon, said Naruto with anger and determination in his eyes, but was more surprised by Slade's last few words as was Slade as he was surprised Naruto picked them up. You'll find, Naruto, that not everyone is as they claim to be in this world of ours. I won't lie to you about this, Naruto, but before I was the nine-tailed fox demon I was not the most likable guy in my previous life. I did many things, Naruto. Many terrible things that would probably be considered war crimes that would most likely get me executed if I were still human. You see, when I was human, a rather dead human to be more precise, I had become a servant for a very powerful demon. Of course he was not as powerful as I am now, but still he would be no pushover, that much is for certain. He made a deal with me that helped give me the power to annihilate any and all of my enemies in exchange for my body being alive again, said Slade, remembering how Trigun claimed that due to a technicality the deal he made with the interdimensional demon had become void. What happened? Said Naruto, leaning on the edge of his bed. He felt that for some reason, possibly because he was Kyuubi or rather Slade's vessel, he could tell when the man was lying and right now he wasn't. Sigh, let's just say it didn't go the way I had planned, seeing all I wanted in our deal was my body back restored to the way of living flesh. All for naught as he went back on our deal, forcing me to take more drastic measures to get my living body back. Thus in doing this I had to ensure I had my revenge against him in the end by defeating him. After that I went back to my old lifestyle of being a master industrial saboteur and a pure psychopath. However, even after that things changed as I found out that when I had died for a second time. I found out later when I did die for a second time that there was a small side effect of being empowered by my former master, said Slade as he remembered the second time he died and felt the change. What happened next? Said Naruto as Slade's tale as it made him understand to a degree about this man and what he was like in his previous life. I changed, Naruto. My body as well as my soul went to the 9th level of hell and went into dormancy for several hundred if not thousands of years. When I had awakened I had been reborn as the nine-tailed demon fox known in the mortal world as Kyuubi, and at the same time I had become the ruler as well as king of all that is hell. It was then that I learned that my world was no more and things had changed, though for better or for worse I did and still do not know for that matter. So I continued to follow my old habits and did what I normally did as I enter unfamiliar ground, said Slade, who became amused at the boy's interest in his life. What's that? Said Naruto, not realizing the 5-minute mark had long passed and his threat to end his life left his mind completely. What anyone would do in my situation, Naruto. I studied plain and simple. I learned all I could of this world that you live in, Naruto, and more. The way humans act and live here in your world, whether it was being just a mere human or ninja. I decided I needed to try and learn all I could when it came to a ninja's skills like your ninjutsu, taijutsu, and of course let's not forget genjutsu. After another 4,000 or 5,000 years I left hell as it was too boring for my taste and went to demon world, where all demons go to when not in hell to congregate, as we consider it a home away from home of sorts, said Slade as he now paused as if to think for a minute before returning his eye back to Naruto. How did you meet the 4th Hokage? Said Naruto, knowing he was being selfish in his request to know, but he just had to know. Ah yes. I remember that day quite well, Naruto, as I had been walking in this form you see before you near Konoha to enter it for a good meal and a night rest. I had just killed a group of bandits with my bare hands and taken their money, feeling the need to just spend it all, said Slade, recalling the events of that day when he met Erasure. Flashback. Slade walked through the forest with his blood-covered left hand behind his back with a large sack full of money in his equally bloody right hand. Life had been good to me today. I was able to gain some material wealth, and I killed over 20 people today. Life can't any sweeter than this, said Slade out loud as he had always liked the sound of his own voice. Slade stopped when he heard a thump sound of something hitting wood, and now turned his attention to the sound of the noise he was hearing. 2989 2990 2991 2992, said a voice counting off after every thump was heard. Someone is training here, but who would in this area, thought Slade as he narrowed his eye carefully as he leaped from tree to tree till the voice got louder. Slade saw a blonde-haired man in a shadowy black and dark ninja training outfit that by the looks of it was someone of high status in the ninja world. Possibly a jounin, special jounin, or even ANBU from the looks of it, as he had seen what other ninjas wore to tell you what rank they were. 2996 2997 2998 2999 3000. said the man with blonde sunlight-colored hair, man finishing his kicks to the nearly destroyed giant tree stump used for training as he wiped sweat off his head just after removing his ninja headband and forehead protector. Slade, feeling he should get to know this mysterious-looking young man, now moved from his position on the tree branch to the ground, and then clapped his hands, making the man he had been watching get into full alert battle-ready form. That was an impressive feat that you just did, kicking that tree 3,000 times. You should feel proud considering the tree stump can't fight back, said Slade, as in his usual mocking way of seeing things. How do you know I wasn't just faking it to make it look like I did it 3,000 times? I doubt you have been here since I started, said the man, as his breathing that was once heaving up and down as he panted for breath was now slower, showing Slade that this man had a lot of stamina in him that was beyond that of a normal man. First off, you were and still are slightly sweating heavily, meaning you have been here for a long time, meaning you did perform 3,000 hits on the tree. Secondly, each kick you had landed on the tree stump are all perfectly aligned with marks on the tree, thus meaning that those kicks marked on the tree are yours and yours alone. There is no room to copy the kicks with such equal precision unless you are the one who kicks in that type of form. Third, you admitted it yourself when you said that I had not been here the entire time you were here, meaning that you were the one kicking on the stump all this time up till you reached your 3,000th kick, said Slade, as he always had knack for solving such things. Okay, you got me. Now here is my next question, are you friend or foe? Said the man with blonde hair, tightening his fighting stance even more so that Slade found it would be hard not to go beyond human strength to penetrate it should they fight. I am hardly your enemy, sir, unless you want me to be. As for being a friend, well, I had never really needed a friend in my life. If I did want to consider having a friend, seeing as you were the first to ask, that I might actually consider it. In fact, you would be the first friend I have had in a long time, said Slade, switching bag hands so he could shake the blonde man's hand with his right hand. The blonde man was about to when he noticed the man's right hand as well as the other with the bag of money were covered in now dry blood. I see you got in a fight yourself earlier. Anyone I know, or that might be a ninja or villager back in Konoha? Said the now cautious blonde, eyeing Slade carefully as he was still on edge, and with the bloody hands in front of him it didn't help either. Relax. I just killed some bandits, and took their money, seeing as they won't be using it where they are going when one dies for being like they were. You have nothing to fear from me, and besides I can tell you are someone of considerable rank and power within the village of Konoha, was it? I believe you did mention it more than once. Tell me, what is your name? Said Slade, still holding out his right hand for the man to shake. The name's Erasure. Kazama Erasure, Special Jounin and Anbu Ninja of Konoha, as well as one of the many personal bodyguards to the third Hokage who rules over its people while protecting them, said Erasure, shaking Slade's hand, mixing the sweat on his hand with some of the dried blood of the bandits Slade had killed earlier in his hands. Call me Slade. You seem to be a bit young for being an Anbu, much less that of a high rank as a Special Jounin. Why are you out here training? I would have thought one such as you would out on a top-secret mission by the order of the Hokage, or just relaxing in your home while you had a chance? Said Slade, frowning slightly as to the man's curious and awkward behavior. In a few years from now, Sarutobi, the third Hokage, will retire from his position, and will name his successor that will take over after he retires. The village council of elders have approved of the third's potential choices of me, as well as 2 other nominees that he has chosen to possibly take his place as Hokage when he retires. The other 2 nominees are Hyuga Hizashi, who is the twin brother of the Hyuga Hayashi, who is also the head of the noble and esteemed Hyuga clan. Then their final nominee is the third's prized student Orochimaru, who has mastered many jutsus in such a short time with him, said Erasure, seeing Slade nod his head in understanding. You must feel very honored to be nominated for such a thing. Tell me something out of curiosity, where do you rank out of all 3 of you lined up, skills and all? Said Slade, as he couldn't help but be curious at this, as it was only natural that he should be. As it stands, I currently rank in 2nd place, size, but something is off in me. I feel as if I have been slowly getting weaker, and there is a pain in the back of my neck that keeps on springing up from time to time. Hizashi keeps getting stronger along with Orochimaru, and soon they will both be stronger than me by far, and I'll be dead last among the 3 of us. Not even that super pervert Jiraiya, that is also one of the other 2 of the Hokage's students, as well as my sensei, can help me now. Even he's just as baffled as I am on the whole situation, said Erasure, looking slightly depressed, making Slade frown behind his mask, making him narrow his eye rather noticeably. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I feel if I don't, I'll regret it later. My instincts have never failed me before, so I should follow them to see where it takes me, thought Slade, realizing he may have to help Erasure and achieve his dream, while Slade would try to fulfill his with finally having a worthy apprentice who not betray him like the last 2 did. If you want, I can help you achieve the title of Hokage, as I am a master in a few things as well, and with my teachings I'm sure we can fix your current predicament, said Slade, who saw Erasure have hope in his blue lightning-like eyes. You would teach me? But you just met me, said Erasure, confused and surprised that a complete stranger would teach him things and help him become Hokage. That is true. Nevertheless, you are my friend Erasure. The first friend I have had for the first time in a long time. Who knows, perhaps we will become more like family as time progresses, said Slade, putting a hand on the man's shoulder before gesturing for both of them to go into Konoha, as they were both kind of filthy from their daily activities being that of both killing and training and needed to clean up. End flashback. After that day, Erasure and me slowly became as close as brothers when I was not his secret teacher Naruto. I helped give him the idea for creating the Rasengan, and another technique I'll help you learn later that he was famous for. And as for the pain he felt on his neck, well, we'll discuss that at a later date. I have told you all you need to know, and now I need you to gather what things you cherish, like clothing, money, etc. Valuables of that sort that you hold dear to your heart, and follow me, as we are going to be leaving this apartment as well as the complex entirely, so we can go see the third Hokage about a new residence to live in, said Slade, getting up and throwing Naruto the same white shirt that the boy had thrown away on the ground before earlier that day. Wait. What? Why? Said Naruto, as his thoughts were still absorbing what Slade had just told him, and Slade now telling him to take only his most valuable stuff with him as they leave the apartment has completely blown his mind. Let's just say if all goes well, Naruto, both of us will get what we want. Tell you what, if you listen to me, I'll take you to that ramen shop you love so much. I imagine it will stay open for their best and most loyal customer, said Slade, seeing Naruto's eyes bulge right out of their sockets before he was moving all around his apartment so fast that for a brief moment Slade thought that Erasure was back from the grave. Within a matter of mere minutes, Naruto had one big white plastic bag full of clothes that he would need now or in the future in one hand, and a large cardboard box of things being held by his right arm on his shoulder. All set to go, Slade-sensei, said Naruto eagerly to go, making Slade's eyebrow, if he had one, rise up at the term sensei. Sensei? I haven't been called that since I was teaching Erasure when I was around here in Konoha originally. Nonetheless, I will be teaching the boy as I did him, so it's only fitting and appropriate that I should be called that. Should I tell him who his father is? No. He has absorbed too much information as it is, and if he learns about his father now, he will break what little of his mind he has left. So much like the man, it's almost scary. It would appear this boy will be my last shot at having another apprentice, if I remember seeing the seal on the boy's stomach correctly, though I shouldn't worry too much. Even though my presence is making the seal absorb my power into him faster than designed by me being out here, it will not harm the boy. Though I should re-enter eventually, so to give the seal and the poor boy breathing space before doing this takes its toll on him. Unlike Robin or Terra, this time this apprentice will actually listen to me, that is if I do this correctly. It could be difficult with his still unstable one-track ramen eating mind like it was slightly with Erasure, thought Slade as he now watched the boy as he almost hopping off the ground with his feet ready to move forward for some ramen at his favorite place away from home, though by all accounts it would have made a far better home than this rotting dump. Let's go, Naruto, and don't worry about paying, as I'll buy. I still have some money from when I first met your father with me. Fortunately, knowing your dinning habits when it comes to eating the stuff, I can still afford you and a drink of water for myself all in one, said Slade as he took Naruto's things off his hands, as he didn't want anything to be taken from the boy while he was around. Wait. Won't people get suspicious of seeing you with Whelmy? I mean, the way you dress, you kind of stand out almost as bad as I do, Slade-sensei, said Naruto, as he had understood what Slade was doing when he took the items from Naruto's hands and arm. Don't worry, Naruto, I have it covered, said Slade, as a symbol of the leaf village of Konoha made itself appear, the form of fire on his forehead till it was burned in there from looked like to Naruto painfully. Cool. Did it hurt when you did that, Slade-sensei? Said Naruto, as he didn't want Slade to do something just for him. Your concern is noted, Naruto, and I appreciate it. However, to answer your question, the answer is no, as it's only temporary until we meet with the third Hokage later. Let's go, Naruto, as there is most certainly no rest for the wicked, said Slade, opening the door out of the apartment bedroom to leave with Naruto right beside him before opening the door for the man so he could get through. Moments later, outside, Naruto and Slade walked along the near empty streets of Konoha, and for the first time in a long time Naruto didn't feel afraid. He wasn't afraid of villagers chasing him, or some drunk of a villager trying to throw things at him like stones, sticks, or glass bottles. He was with his sensei, who just so happened to be the Kyuubi, or at least referred to as the Kyuubi. As they walked, the villagers who were still out as well as some ninja looked at the pair walking by with questionable gazes. Though for Naruto, the poor boy still got his share of glares from all of them in the end. They'll be sorry one day, said Naruto in a whisper, clenching his fists in anger, as the glares and hatred against him were completely unnecessary. Don't let their hatred get to you like this, Naruto. Block out their anger while channeling yours into determination to achieve your dream, and then when you are ruler of all of this village, they can either accept it when the time come or get they can hell out of here. For now, let them have their fun hating you. Your revenge against them by being the greatest Hokage ever will be all the sweeter when you achieve it with my help, said Slade, as he had clearly heard Naruto's whisper as well as the whispers of the villagers and ninja of those they passed by. It was not long till they had reached their destination and found that Naruto's sanctuary that was known as Ichiraku's ramen and glowing lights above the stand itself. "Hey old man." "Hey I am," said Naruto with a greeting surprising the two at the fact Naruto would come back to them a second time at night, and with a guest a slightly frightening looking guest no less. "Hey Naruto." "Who this?" said I am looking from Naruto to Slade who sat down with the boy putting the box and plastic bag with Naruto's things next to him with his one eye watching them should anyone be daring enough to take Naruto's things. Naruto realized that I am may not take to liking the fact that Slade was Kyuubi, or that Kyuubi as she would consider him to be was originally inside of him. "This is Slade and he's going to be my new guardian and sensei. Soon I can become strong enough to take over old man Hokage's job and be Hokage myself someday," said Naruto who found his lie to have more truth to it than he originally thought it would. Slade was slightly surprised himself at how truthful the lie sounded and realized himself that what Naruto said did in fact have more truth to it than he was sure Naruto himself realized when he said it. "That is correct. The boy has great potential, but needs a teacher to bring it out of him," said Slade getting some suspicious eyes from both the girl and her father meaning they had apparently heard of Naruto's previous guardians that he had seen himself from the boy's eyes and how they had mistreated the boy. "Don't worry I am you can trust this one. Slade recently helped me and saved me from some assassin earlier tonight," said Naruto as if it were the most casual thing in the world making the girl and old man become pale for a second at hearing that. "You poor kid. Tell you what Naruto to celebrate you surviving such a dreadful thing I'll give you a free large bowl of pork beef ramen tonight on the house for what that assassin tried to do to you." "What do you want Slade was it?" said Ichiraku as he eyed Slade once more curiously as he could have sworn he heard that name before. "Yes it's Slade. As for something to eat I am not hungry at the moment though water or perhaps some soothing warm herbal tea would nice," said Slade knowing that he couldn't remove his mask out of necessity, as it was his old human face, and it just so happened to be the face he had after he had died at the hands of Terra that Robin had seen as they had ventured into Trigon's domain. I am not at putting down the order even though it would be ready momentarily since herbal tea was so easy to make. "Hey Slade-sensei I had a question. Just how are we going to see the third Hokage? He's either asleep in the Hokage mansion or swamped in an overnight meeting or with paperwork that goes up to his wrinkly old neck," said a now exaggerating Naruto getting a small chuckle from Slade and Iam though Iam's was shorter due to her father who was glaring at her. It was understandable for Iam to expect a glare from her father, as there was nothing to laugh at when you are old, and you have so much paperwork to do, and so little time. Her father remembered that quite well when opening this ramen stand when she was younger, and how he looked exhausted from filling it all out in triplicate. "Don't worry Naruto if the gods above are anything that I expect of them to be they will interfere in your favor as well as mine sooner than you think," said Slade as he mentally removed his containment jutsu over the fire he had started by Jin's TV set that was in the landlord's room. Within mere moments of doing this the entire level of Naruto's floor where only he and the landlord had lived exploded in a massive fireball that could be seen even from where the ramen stand was. A few minutes later after that the third Hokage was at the ramen stand with a small squadron of ANBU Black Ops units ready for a fight with their ninja weapons drawn. "Sooner than you think Naruto. Indeed sooner than you think." Hihei, thought Slade as he turned slowly to face the third Hokage, which was something that Naruto had already done after having his eyes go bigger than the bowl of ramen he was eating from the sheer shock of his apartment building and room being blown to hell. The tension in the area was so high it seemed the slightest action would cause an all-out battle for survival. That is until Naruto decided to cut it down in his own way. Hihei. "Hey old man nice fireworks that you saw huh?" said Naruto trying to make a joke out of the situation though the Hokage himself was not pleased and if anything made it worse. My it's Sarutobi the third Hokage. You are looking as grand as ever for someone of your considerable age. Come join us for a bite to eat. Or would you rather prefer some of the herbal tea here?" said Slade in his calm voice knowing fully well why the third was here as he had sensed the man's snooping since he first came out of the seal. Hokage Tower 20 minutes before the explosion. The third Hokage that was Sarutobi the professor was no fool thanks to his 60 years of living with over 50 of those years being a ninja. He had been in his office with his ever so dreadful paperwork that was the village government's lifeblood that kept its businesses going. The old man of a Hokage had just finished the last paper of work and was about to finally retire for the day in his much-needed bed when he felt the disturbance of a chakra presence around Naruto's apartment. Knowing fully well that anything concerning Naruto was as always a serious cause for concern as well as delicate subject all in itself, when Sarutobi sensed something was wrong. It also meant that someone or rather something was happening, and what was currently happening also involved the boy and the boy's deadly demon tenant. The third Hokage went to his crystal ball and focused his power on the orb to focus on Naruto's apartment. "No, it can't be possible," said Sarutobi as the pipe he had in his mouth had fallen out of it and onto the floor spilling the addicting nerve-calming substance inside as he watched was unfolding before him. He saw Kyubi. The nine-tailed demon fox that was Kyubi was rising from the seal on Naruto, knocking down the assassin trying to kill the boy in a human form. "Ah, the smell of a living body," said Kyubi as Sarutobi watched from his orb as it breathed in air heavily into its human form, looking at the assassin who asked it a question that the Kyubi responded in turn with cold, cruel, and calculating voice. Sarutobi felt powerless again as he watched the conversation go from being civilized to that of hostile on the Kyubi's part, as he was now calling itself Slade. The third could only watch as the man who he sensed was a low-level Chunin of an assassin out of fear of possibly dying painful had just confessed to what some of the Ninja Academy instructors had done to Naruto when he went to take the Genin exam both the first time and this very day. How did he get let out? Could Naruto have done it in his sleep? I need to get to him, but as long as Slade is out of the seal I won't get within 5 feet of Naruto's apartment, thought Sarutobi as he continued to think of how to get near Naruto to disable Kyubi without the Kyubi discovering him. Sarutobi's future thoughts stopped before reaching the surface suddenly when Kyubi in human form that was calling itself Slade stopped in the middle of the hallway. The third Hokage nearly had a heart attack when Slade turned his head upward, looking right back at the third Hokage's bird-eye view with a narrowed eye. "I know you are watching, old man. If you wish to seek me out then do so, and if you want bring a ninja army with you. I could use a good kill if not massacre on my hands," said Slade before continuing his walk down the hallway to the landlord's room before knocking on it politely. Sarutobi immediately dispelled the all-seeing power of the crystal ball before he called for the ANBU guards outside. It was their job to watch and listen for any possible threats or enemies while waiting to escort their leader to his home. "Yes, Lord Hokage," said one ANBU guard wearing a cat mask. "Yes, I need you to gather as many ANBU and Jounin ninja as you can in full battle-ready ANBU Black Ops gear that know about Naruto's condition. Ones that do not hold a grudge against the boy. Now," said the frantic-sounding third Hokage, making ANBU poof out of existence to follow his leader's orders. Within moments all the ninja that the Hokage had asked for were assembled before him in his office. "Lord Hokage, I have brought everyone you have asked for, but I cannot find Kurenai," said the ANBU before he was told it was alright and was then dismissed by the Hokage before disappearing in a poof of smoke. "Lord Hokage, I ask in the name of youth, what did you call us here for?" said Mato Guy calmly for once, though he was still wearing his usual disturbing green spandex, with his bowl-shaped haircut, and his thick eyebrows that made everyone wonder if they were his actual eyebrows or fake ones used to make it appear as if he had eyebrows. "I have learned some terrible things about Naruto," Group mumbles. "Silence. It appears that the Kyubi that has been sealed inside Naruto has somehow gotten out of his seal on Naruto's stomach." Gasps. "However, I believe the seal still binds the Kyubi to Naruto regardless of its newfound freedom outside the seal. The demon has already killed one person already." Gasps. "It was an assassin sent to kill Naruto, though Kyubi's now newfound freedom took care of the assassin. I fear for the safety of others in this village. Also, I must now assume that the landlord in Naruto's apartment may be next if from what I saw where the demon was headed was any indication," said the third Hokage as he now briefly looked back at his now clear crystal ball before looking back at the now slightly unnerved ninjas assembled before him at his request. "But why summon us here if that's the case, Lord Hokage? Why not summon people who hate Naruto so they will kill him without any hesitation in the matter?" said torture expert that was Mitarashi Enko, as she had personally seen no evil in the boy himself, just what he was the vessel of. "Because I don't believe Naruto is under his influence of the Kyubi just yet, and I need competent as well as loyal ninjas, who will listen to me should I tell them to stand down. I don't want to alarm Naruto or making Kyubi agitated in this state, as I have seen what he can do in his human form, and is not to be messed with. Plus Naruto trusts me and will listen to me when push comes to shove when one has to be serious," said Sarutobi, who received a nod from them all, from Enko to Ibiki to Guy and a slightly reluctant Kakashi, who seemed for the first time in a long time serious about something. Present time Ichiraku's ramen stand. "Naruto! Get away from him and come over here. Now!" said Sarutobi in a serious voice, meaning that this was no time for Naruto's jokes, pranks, silly antics, or fake smiles that he always put on to hide his pain from everyone. Naruto's sheepish fake smile left his face almost immediately, and he became much more serious, like the third's face was before Slade put a gentle hand on the boy's shoulder that made everyone else tense up at the show of affection. Slade smiled behind his mask as he realized what they were all assuming between him and the boy, and the two of them had bonded, and he was now corrupting Naruto. "You sure know how to make things that are private a public spectacle, Sarutobi. To think Erasure spoke so highly of you at being the most intelligent one of the 3 Hokages of this village," said Slade, ignoring the killer intent of a certain one-eyed Jounin who raised his headband, revealing his weird red eye to the demon lord, who was not intimidated in the slightest, as he had felt worse killing intent than this. Everyone else was surprised that the demon fox knew the fourth's name, but shrugged it off, feeling it was unimportant for the moment anyway. "Naruto! I'm going to ask you one more time. Get over here now!" said Sarutobi as his eyes now showed the old fire in them that had made him Hokage to begin with in his younger years. You think I'm corrupting the boy Sarutobi? He already knows about what I truly am and what the fourth Hokage did to him that made him hated throughout this entire village by both villager and ninja alike. Did you really think that by revealing him as my vessel to both the villagers and the ninjas and asking that the boy be seen as a hero would actually work? If I had to grade you, Professor, I would give you an A4 effort, but an F in being such a foolish and naive old man as well as being stupid in the matter, said Slade, getting up from the stool, making some of the ninja look slightly more tense than before. Yeah, old man, I know all about the Kyuubi, and if it wasn't for him I wouldn't even be here right now. Slade-sensei is not that bad a guy. You should hear him out, said Naruto, who had to almost struggle to speak at first from the killing intent from the silver-haired jounin of the group who was now running through Han's seals. Sarutobi, I know you said to follow you and trust your decisions, and I always have, but it is clear that this thing has corrupted Naruto. The demon has corrupted him into believing that the Kyuubi is the victim in this case when Ike couldn't be more further from the truth. I was Arashi's student, and he was like a father to me. I cannot just stand by and listen to this demon filth talk about him as if they were brothers in arms. It is an insult to me and erasure, said Kakashi as he finished his seals with his right hand pressed down, gathering in blue electric-like energy into reed to use against the demon fox. Wait. Don't fight, please. Old man Hokage, please listen to what I have to say. After I was woken up by Slade-sensei, said Naruto. Unfortunately, his voice was drowned out by Kakashi's attack in the ninja's hands as the jounin charged at him with it as the sound of 1,000 birds chirping could be heard throughout the area. Chidori! Yelled Kakashi as he aimed his attack at the enemy in front of him that he hated now more than any being in his life. It was a powerful assassination technique that was of Kakashi's own personal design that he modeled after the fourth's own prized technique, the Rasengan. However, from what Kakashi remembered when he showed the technique to his sensei, for some reason Erasure had a disapproving look on his face. Kakashi was now using this very technique to not only to end the Kyuubi's life, but also the very boy whose life connected the beast to this world, Naruto. Kakashi, stop at once, said Sarutobi as he wanted to hear what Naruto had to say, as he had ended his vision of what was happening through his crystal ball and needed to know what had happened after Slade was headed for the landlord's apartment. Slade knew what Kakashi was doing, as it didn't take someone with a surgically attached bloodline limit like the son of the White Fan had to see what, or rather who, the man was attempting to aim his attack at. Just as Kakashi was about to strike down Naruto through the heart with his attack, a wall of demonic chakra like fire appeared, blocking the attack entirely. Kakashi, Naruto, and the others were stunned as they saw the wall in front of him. Whoa! Slade-sensei, are you actually doing this? Said Naruto as he almost wanted to touch the wall in front of him had it not held Kakashi's attack perfectly in place. The third and the others looked to the source of the wall and found that it was none other than Slade, whose now one red glowing masked eye was now angrily looking directly at Kakashi. Fool! You may be Arashi's best student, but you are still the lazy and stupid failure he always feared you'd be, said Slade in a calm voice, but the anger laced into his voice was as thick as a month's-old carton of milk in Naruto's now destroyed home. Kakashi was so shocked at hearing those words that he had failed to notice that Slade was now next to him, clutching his still Chidori-covered hand, removing it from the orange-red demonic chakra wall. How do you know he told me that? That he said that to me? Said a now terrified Kakashi as both his eyes stared into Slade's one demonic eye before Slade twisted the wrist hard, breaking it, canceling out the attack. Wouldn't you like to know, Kakashi? Said Slade before slamming his metal-masked skull gently into Kakashi's face, knocking the silver-haired jounin back several steps as blood left his forehead down his face. Stop. The Q, I mean, Slade is correct. We should talk about this in a more suitable and appropriate setting other than here, said the third as the others got ready to fight after seeing what Slade easily did to Kakashi. Indeed we should. As there are too many people observing us here with their eyes and ears, it would not be healthy for Naruto in the future. I am glad that you agree with my observation about this situation, O wise Sarutobi, said Slade in an almost mocking tone as he turned to the third Hokage. This should be done in more private setting, as you said before, Slade. Please follow me with Naruto to my office so we may discuss this in a more civilized manner. Kakashi, go to the hospital to get your wounds treated and then see me tomorrow, said still slightly shook up Hokage, hoping that things could be resolved in a less hostile way. Lord Hokage, should we really trust this demon and bring him to your office? He could be planning something, as foxes were always considered the top master tricksters of all the animals in the world, said Asuma, who would rather get punched between the legs than see the Kyuubi even set foot in the Hokage's office. Do you know of a better way to keep the fox demon on his good side, Asuma? Did you not see how he easily stopped Kakashi's Chidori and Kakashi? He didn't even move a muscle till he had to in order to remove the attack away from Naruto. No. We will try to keep this as civilized as possible, said the Hokage, earning a nod from Slade, surprising everyone that Demon Lord would do such a thing. Better. Come Naruto, as we got our foot in the door. Now we push, said Slade, walking past Kakashi as he earned an understanding nod from Naruto as the said boy picked up his bag and box of possessions he took from his apartment with him, following in line with Slade on his left with the third Hokage on his right with all the other ninjas as well as A and BU surrounding them as they headed for the Hokage tower. 55 minutes later, Hokage's office. It took them about 15 minutes walking to reach Hokage's tower, with another additional 35 minutes to tell everything from both Slade and Naruto's point of view of things that lead up to the incident at the ramen stand. The remaining 5 minutes that came afterwards were to get used to the migraine headache the size of the Hokage monument the Hokage and the other ninjas had just listened to. As you can see from confidential information that you have from past events, Lord Hokage, even I am a pawn in this twisted game, said Slade, patting a sleepy Naruto who was now leaning back on his chair using the upper part of the cushioning like a pillow. It was obvious by this point that Naruto was beyond tired, as his mind couldn't stay awake anymore as his mental clock told him it was time to sleep. The Hokage looked over once at Naruto, then back to Slade, who just shrugged as if it was nothing before he just sighed, rubbing his wrinkled temples. I'm getting too old for this shit, mumbled an extremely tired Sarutobi as he felt like taking a vacation, which ironically was not in his power to do so. I assure you it is the truth if what you think I'm saying is a lie. Whether you believe it or not is entirely up to you. As for you getting too old, you could always let me take your place, said Slade jokingly at the end, though from the looks on everyone else's faces told the demon fox now was not the time for joking, even though for him it was enjoyable. Asuma was having one of his urges for a rare super drag while still looking at Slade like he was crazy. So let me see if I can get this straight and understand this correctly. You, points to Slade. You, the great nine-tailed demon fox that we dubbed simply as the QB, Slade nods, who was technically indirectly responsible for killing our late great fourth Hokage. Slade nods, was in fact the fourth Hokage's secret training partner and sensei? Slade nods calmly one more time. I must be going out of my mind, said Asuma as he took a super puff of his cigarette, as the stress was becoming too much to take right now without a much-needed drag. I don't know, Asuma, I would say this is a blessing in disguise for Ibiki and me, seeing as I have always wanted to torture a demon before. Especially this one, said Anko as her torturing psychotic side kicked and she let loose some shadow snakes, wanting to see how the big bad fox demon would fare against her. Her shadow snakes came out of her, took one look at Slade, and retreated back into her arms, shivering in fear, making the sight slightly comical. Those are the smartest snakes I have seen in my entire life. As for you, Anko, was it? I suggest you take a long bath-filled soak in the hot springs till you remove the sickening stench of snakes off you. Some of us would like to breathe clean air and not the scent of a snake-dressed whore like you, said Slade, narrowing his eye at her, while everyone except Naruto, who was now asleep, backed away, unaware that his demon prisoner was now picking a fight by insulting one of two of Konoha's top interrogation specialists. Snake whore? Snake whore! I'll KLL you! When I get done with you, sorry piece of demon shit, you'll be my begging to go back into the kid! Yelled Anko as she was beyond pissed. But you didn't need to be a genius know that, as the yelling clearly gave it away as she pulled out a double-bladed kunai, charging at him with all her speed and power. To anyone else, Anko had moved at high speed, while to Slade just saw her moved slower than a snail in snow. He grabbed her weapon in closed hand, spun around her, elbowed her in the back, and then finally was thrown into the wall with such force one would think that Tsunade, the legendary Sannin and the third student of the professor, had returned. Looks like you won't get your chance anytime soon with the condition you are in. Go to the hospital and get fixed up, and if you still wish to hurt me, seek me out. But know this, I will win every time because you can't defeat me, said Slade, gently cupping her chin up so she could see his sinister one eye while a small trickle of blood left her chin. At that moment, as there was a polite knock at the door, and the newly promoted to Jounin Yuhi Kurenai entered the room in her new Jounin vest and outfit. Please forgive me, sir, but I must speak to you in regards to Hyuga Hinata and her family, said Kurenai, as she had been at the Hyuga compound all day and had just left the area a good 2 hours ago, only to go to the local bar an hour later. Kurenai was not a heavy drinker, and never had been, though Anko, for all her mischievous ways, had tried to get her to be. The crazy female ninja kept saying it makes the voices in the head stop every once in a while from talking. For a long moment in the bar she almost considered following her friend's advice, as she had tried, being the key word, to drown her hatred for the man that was Hyuga Hayashi in warm's sake. Damn that man for being more of clan head than a father, as his late wife Haidom would never have let such abuse happen, Kurenai had thought while in the bar, as she looked at the sake bottle with such anger the bottle itself cracked and then broke after she left for the Hokage's office. She had tried to drown the voices in her head saying to kill the man, now consequences be damned, and end Hinata's suffering, as she had seen the poor girl in constant sorrow. The novice Jounin had seen it in previous passing of the girl in the village, or when she visited the Hyuga at the compound, up till Hinata's father finally ordered the female Jounin to leave his daughter alone, as her care, as he put it, was in his very capable hands. Capable hands, my Jounin vest, thought a still furious Kurenai, as she wanted to break that man's mind, body and soul into so many tiny pieces right now with a good solid genjutsu. However, the logical part of her mind refused to let her do such things, as the logical part of her brain told her to try to speak to the Hokage for a possible solution to this problem she was having with the very influential political family's noble traditions of their clan. "Am I interrupting something here, sir?" said a curious Kurenai as everyone looked at her clueless face that looked like Naruto's was towards Hinata when she was less than 50 yards away from her secret crush that was the blonde demon vessel. "Not at all, Kurenai. In fact, everyone here should get some rest, as we need to have another meeting tomorrow concerning what we have just discussed here. Also, Gunma, could you please see Irika at his house and tell him I need to speak to him tomorrow morning? Tell him it concerns this year's genin examinations," said Sarutobi, leaving everyone to leave, though Enko could only be moved with help seeing as she had been injured so easily by the demon in human form. When everyone else had left, it was just Kurenai, Slade, the third Hokage, and a sleeping Naruto who was now snoring slightly on the chair he was in. "Sir, maybe I should come back tomorrow morning when you're not busy," said Kurenai, unsure if she could talk about what she wanted to say as she looked Slade over, measuring him up to her perceptive yet strange genjutsu-enhanced red eyes. "It's all right, Kurenai, as this is possibly your best chance to see, as tomorrow I have to do some thorough chewing out of several Chunin instructors as well as certain others. As for the strangers in the room, the boy is sound asleep and is a heavy sleeper from what I have been told by his peers. Also, Slade here," points to Slade, "is no stranger to that of the Hyuga affairs that I am sure you are here to discuss with me about. Hayashi has also been to see me, only it's not about Hinata or the clan, but rather you interfering with them and trying to encourage Hinata to disgrace her heritage and legacy, as Hayashi put it," said Sarutobi, who for once was actually glad to deal with something in the village that was considered normal for him. "Despite what that man says about what I am doing, Lord Hokage, I think you'll find he is the one who is disgracing her and the memory of her late mother Hidome," said Kurenai as she glanced over at Slade again out of the corner of her eyes. "Hidome is dead? How?" said Slade as his eye had now narrowed dangerously, as he had no knowledge about this event. "Unfortunately, she is, Slade. As for how, we don't know. Some people tried to blame it on the village's scapegoat Kyubi. Many people claimed it was an act of revenge by the demon on the village by aiming itself at the last great clan of Konoha," said Sarutobi, not wanting to reveal that Slade was in fact Kyubi in human form to Kurenai, as he did not know how the female jounin would take such news of the man that was Slade, who was in the very room being Kyubi, and to some extent being able freely walk around. "Whatever caused Hidome's death changed the man completely, and even though at first I supported him because he was in pain, he has changed drastically. He went from the man I once respected and grieved with at her funeral to a man whose heart is so cold you can't get near the man without shivering whether you look into his eyes or not," said Kurenai sadly, as it had been the case on several occasions with that man when she had gone to see him about Hinata. "Tell me, my dear, do you know about the secret Hyuga scandal during the time of the nominations for the 3 people who would become Sarutobi's successor?" said Slade, who was curious as to just how far this woman would go to see the Hyugas put in their snobbish place. "Secret scandal? No, what was it about exactly?" said Kurenai, as she had never officially even heard of such a thing in the Hyuga clan, though she did hear the various whispers of the rumors flying around that dishonored the branch family considerably. "Slade, before you say anything further, I want Kurenai to understand that she cannot in any way reveal what is about to be said. I do not want the Hyugas to try to find a way out of this should they know that you of all people know about this information. In fact, it's one of the rare things I have that prevents them from trying to make a move on trying to kill Naruto in a public execution. They have great influence with the vast majority of the elders in Konoha, and this is the only blackmail material I have that keeps their dark desires at bay. But should they find a way around it, I have no safety net to fall back on, so what we tell you now cannot leave this room," said Sarutobi, seeing as such a scandal was intense in itself, as it was one of the reasons the main and branch families never got along with each other, creating the friction and infighting within the family as a whole. "My lips are sealed, Lord Hokage," said Kurenai, as she would have to thank this stranger later for giving her this piece of Hyuga dirt, as such things from the family were believed to be non-existent. In fact, she could use such information later with the permission of the Hokage course as a bargaining chip for Hinata's secure future should things go worse in the clan. Also find out who he is and what he looks like beyond that mask, thought Kurenai, as she never really liked people who hid their faces like Kakashi, as it made no sense in the slightest to her, because she knew from those very rare few people who did see his face that he was not scared at all under it. It all started as things came to a head about 7 or 8 months before a successor was to be officially named by Sarutobi and approved by the village council of elders for being the 4th Hokage. However, no one ever said that people who could and should play fair would in these types of cases. This scandal with them is further proof of such a case with the Hyuga's branch family, though they will never ever admit it to anyone, even on their own deathbeds, said Slade, starting the story off knowing the Hokage would continue where he left off before continuing when the time presented itself. "I don't think I understand," said Kurenai as she saw the metal-masked man's close, as he now leaned against the wall deep in though, as if remembering the events run through his head. You see Hizashi along with several other Hyuga elders that wanted control of Konoha to expand their superior clan all over Fire Country. Though by the time they wanted to do it they realized they could only do it through legal channels of the council. The Hyuga elders struck a deal with Hizashi that he could not turn away from. If it was possible for Hizashi to become Hokage as they wished him to and achieve the status and power over the village, then the Hyuga elders promised to him they would not put the caged bird curse seal on the man's only son Niji when he reached the required age as set in accordance to traditions where a branch family member would receive it, said the Hokage as he remembered how things played out. Naturally Hizashi had accepted the deal from what I can assume from this being such a scandal, said Kurenai, though she couldn't blame him as she probably would have done something like that if she had a son or daughter living under those conditions. Yes, he did. As time passed the Hyugas learned and found that their greatest threat for their chance at power was not Orochimaru, but none other than the late Kazama Erasure who eventually became the fourth Hokage. It was then that Hizashi with the help of the Hyuga elders discovered a rare and forbidden seal that can only be learned by those of the high-ranking Hyuga elders. However, according to Hyuga clan laws it can only be used on other Hyugas as it was designed for them should the caged bird seal not be, though rarely was, enough to restrain a branch member of the family, said Slade as he now opened his eye as he turned to look at Kurenai and her red eyes that made her dare he think it attractive. Just when I think I can't hate the Hyuga's noble traditions I have been proven wrong about just how low that clan will get to maintain their power over the mystery of their stupid eyes and their bloodline limit, said an angry Kurenai who got a nod from both the Hokage and Slade as they obviously agreed with her. You were not alone in that regard either. When I learned what they did to Erasure as they tried to ensure he would lose to Hizashi when the time came, they secretly put that seal on the back of his neck above his hair so no one would see it. The seal they gave him had started disrupting his pathways shortly after it was placed after Erasure and Hizashi went off to train one day and Hizashi knocked Erasure out in a surprise move using a difficult gentle fist disabling technique known only by the Hyuga elders and the both Hizashi and Hayashi, said Sarutobi looking at her waiting to see the question he could see was looming in her head. Did Hayashi know about this? Was he even involved? Said Kurenai as she would love to see that man put in her place. No. I knew both him and Erasure very well. They were close dear friends to one another, and it was because of Erasure and me that Hayashi even fell in love with Hitome. If it was not for Erasure and myself Hayashi would never have met, fallen in love, and married the woman. In fact he was the only Hyuga besides Hitome who supported Erasure in being the fourth Hokage instead of his own brother, which if I recall correctly made his twin exceedingly angry, said Slade looking over at Naruto's sleeping form for a moment as he had sensed something wrong coming from the boy, but couldn't pinpoint the source of it. One can only imagine what Hizashi must have felt towards who was of the same blood as him. I'm not defending Hizashi, but still having your own brother not support you in our quest for something like the title of Hokage. Your own twin brother for that matter, said Kurenai as she thought of what it would be like to have a twin sister that looked just like her not supporting her when she needed her the most. When it was discovered that the seal was placed on Erasure by Hizashi at the secret and discreet assistance of some of still now nameless Hyuga elders I was going to have the man executed for treason. However, when what I was about to do to the man was brought to Hayashi's attention it was only then did the man intervene and spare his brother from certain doom. In exchange for having his life spared Hizashi would be forced to witness his son being branded the caged bird curse seal to be performed by none other than the head of the Hyuga clan Hyuga Hayashi himself, said Sarutobi seeing Kurenai's now shocked expression that etched her face. Talk about adding insult to injury when it comes to punishment. I take it with the seal removed off of the fourth's neck he quickly came back stronger than ever, said Kurenai getting a nod from Slade and the third. Indeed. Though Orochimaru was far from happy with the end results feeling that he was being removed from a title of power that felt was rightfully his as he was the Yor, points to the Hokage's best student of the three you trained. Thus was what made him go rogue in the first place, said Slade knowing that this talk about the past would soon be ending. I see. Well I'll keep what you told me in mind sir I'll see you tomorrow sometime in the afternoon for a possible mission if that's alright? Said Kurenai who received a tired nod from the Hokage before she left out and shut the door for her home. I need to speak with you tomorrow as well about Naruto being a ninja even if it can only be that of an unofficial record. Also I need to ask you for a small favor and I expect the answer to be a yes, said Slade leaving his nicer personal with Kurenai and stared back harshly at the third Hokage with such a look the Hokage flinched noticeably at the sight of it. You can be at the meeting I have with me and Iruka before I can even do anything about that. As for the favor it all really depends on the favor though I have a feeling that even if I said no you would still do it anyway, said Sarutobi looking into Slade's one eye while Slade himself just nodded. I want and going to kill the people working at the orphanage that Naruto lived at when he was younger as they were nothing but cruel and inhumane to him. When you were not there twice a week for your checkups on him they beat him, poisoned him, and even tried to starve the poor boy to death. Had it not been for your twice-a-week checkups and my demonic powers of healing of his wounds, the boy would have died in less than the week that he was delivered to them, said Slade, now seeing the Hokage's reaction and the old man's face go from shock to angry in less than 3 heartbeats. Very well, Slade, as I have no choice. I did not tell them he was the vessel so he would be able to at least have a good childhood in the orphanage with other children due to the law I made. However, seeing as to what they did to the boy falls not only under the S-class law about not telling anyone that Naruto held you within his body, but their actions also falls under the child abuse prevention law. A law that the first Hokage himself made when he was sitting in this very chair when he ruled over Konoha. When either of the laws are broken, the person or people who break it are put to death, so no matter which law we use against them, either way it doesn't matter, as they are to be sentenced to death for the crimes they have committed. Fortunately, it never specified just how they would die when they broke either of the laws other than the fact that they would, said Sarutobi, who looked into Slade's eye with a smile on his face and a glint in his old eyes telling Slade the hidden meaning behind his words. I understand, Lord Hokage. Tell all ninjas within the shinobi ranks not to do anything yet till after I'm done with them. I would also suggest you prepare the employment forms for finding new child supervisors, said Slade, picking up Naruto and the boy's remaining possessions gently before heading towards the door, but was stopped by third Hokage. Wait. You have no place to go. Please stay at the Hokage mansion that I live at least for tonight until things are better. I give you my word the boy will be safe while staying at my home, said the third Hokage, not wanting to find out just where the boy would be staying had he not made the offer. Slade just smiled at the old man, though you wouldn't be able to tell with the metal mask covering his face. Naruto and I would be honored, said Slade, walking out with Naruto in the demon's arms with Sarutobi right next to him. When Yumino Irika, a teacher of Chunin ninja rank at the Ninja Academy, woke up at 8 a.m. in the morning, he had a feeling of dread running through his body that day, as something felt off to him. After all, it was not every day that a ninja of Jounin status that was of significant rank like Shirani Ginma appeared at his little home telling him that the Hokage wanted to see him in the morning in concerns to the genin exams. The very same genin exams that were taken earlier the previous day. However, when you are a ninja and ordered by the Hokage of all people for something he felt was important, then by the gods you do so whether you need to hurry or not. I bet it concerns Naruto again, seeing as he did take the genin exam for a second time in a row and he unfortunately failed. From the look on his face when he entered the room, I had believed that for a second he would pass, thought Irika, who personally held no hatred for the boy himself just for what the boy contained. Irika made his way to the Hokage's office with a nod by the ANBU guards, who knew he was to be expected for his 8:30 a.m. appointment. When the teacher entered the room, he found that the third Hokage did not have his usual calm, wise, and old face on him that Irika usually saw. It was not the face of the man he talked to on more than one occasion about things involving next year's classes with potential genin teams. No. At this very moment in time, the third Hokage was livid with an angry look on his 60-plus-year-old face that Irika had not seen in all his years of meeting with him. Have a seat, Irika. I called you here because we have to talk, and not a friendly one at that, said Sarutobi, who for the first time in years felt a fire in him that he thought had been passed to his deceased successor when he originally retired from this office. Of course, Lord Hokage. Might I ask what I am doing here, and if I may be so bold, what I did wrong to make you look so angry? Said Irika, hoping not to face the wraith of the much elderly man, as there was a reason for him being Hokage now, as he was before the death of the fourth. It was then that the third Hokage's eyes softened slightly, and his tightened jaw was now relaxed a little as he realized he was still holding on to anger he held in his heart from the previous meeting he just had. I apologize, Irika, for your assumptions that I am angry at you, as I just had very stressful meeting before you came in here. A meeting with some of the Chunin and one Jounin headmaster at the Ninja Academy who said some things he shouldn't have, said Sarutobi, seeing the man in front of him flinch before replaying what the Hokage said in his mind before frowning in confusion. But no one left your office when I entered, seeing as I was right on time for the meeting you set for me? They didn't leave with Ibiki or Anko, did they? Said Irika, as he did not want to be those ninjas right now who got on the Hokage's bad side. No. Ibiki is busy with things right now, and Anko is in the hospital after a small sparring session with the person she was fighting went bad on her. As for several of the ninja who were in here before you, they are all dead. My new enforcer, if you will, saw to that they were eliminated. He is out right now with Naruto as his official guardian and new teacher for the boy, so he can learn skills that he has been deprived of at the academy. I have already sent request forms out for new possible ninjas from all the other small and minor villages around us that are considered extensions of Konoha itself. They should be here in less than a month, and I have no doubts they should be ready to pick up the slack the others left behind when the new ninja year at the academy starts next fall, said a slightly smiling Sarutobi, as he found his enforcer's way of leaving him without being detected to be both interesting and scary. I take it this is what you called to talk to me about, Lord Hokage. You want to talk about Naruto failing for the second time in his second year at the academy. If you think that I might hold a grudge against the kid, you are wrong. It's just, well, you know. The beast that the fourth sealed inside is the one I hate, said Iruka as memories he had tried to shut up the past 11 years were coming up in his head. Sarutobi nodded his head in understanding Iruka's thoughts, as many people lost many loved ones at the hands of Slade's involuntary psychotic rampage. The question before him now was, could Iruka let it go from what he was about to learn? I know how you feel, Iruka, as we all lost someone in that battle who was like family to us, whether they were in fact actually family or not. However, recent information has come to light, and it involves the Kyuubi's rampage. What I am about to tell you may change your perspective on the whole situation, said the Hokage, getting a look of confusion from the Chunin teacher's face, whose gut feeling came back tenfold. In the village clothes district 9:00 a.m. Naruto walked with Slade, fresh with energy and excitement, as he was pleased to have his sensei be declared his legal guardian, who was legally on the level of a Jounin ninja. If not that of a special Jounin to A&B Black Ops level, which Naruto knew he was far beyond, as Slade was the nine-tailed demon fox inside of him. The demon Lord Fox had returned to his vessel's body still in human form, as it made his cell less restricting to him, giving him more room to breathe. Hey Slade-sensei, did you really mean it when you said you think I could be as strong as you said I could be? Did you really mean it? Said Naruto, as he looked his guardian in the eye, who just nodded without saying a word as they walked through the busy streets of Konoha, earning glances this time at Slade more than Naruto. Apparently Slade only used his demon fox form to fight off other demon lords, and only then when he was facing more than two, depending on how many tails the demons he was fighting had on them. Slade had told Naruto in his mindscape he had created during the boy's sleep so they could meet that in the morning he would take the boy to do some very much needed clothes shopping. It was very much needed in Slade's opinion when one put into consideration the filthy clothes the boy was wearing now. Even the ones Naruto had taken with him made him standing out like a Roman candle lit in a dark cave. I guess it's not too surprising considering he had to survive on his own for the past 11 years without me up till now. Even if with his survival instincts and growing eyes in the back of your being heightened, his clothing in ninja fashion are worse off than others I have seen in my last lifetime. Well, that's why we are here, and the Hokage gave me a considerable amount of money to pay for everything. Much more, in fact, I assume, just in case some fool tries to swindle me out of things the boy needs. If anyone tries that, I'll burn their store to the ground and teach them it's not nice to play with fire, thought Slade, as he then pictured how much fun it would be to see the store owner's shop burn down with the store owner with it. Slade-sensei, you didn't answer my question. Did you really mean what you said earlier, like at the ramen stand? Said Naruto, as he couldn't read the man's mind despite them being bound to each other, though he knew that Slade could if he tried. I'm not going to lie to you, Naruto, as being the Hokage does not mean that you can do whatever you want to whoever you want. It means you have to make decisions that will reflect who you are and how people will remember you in years to come when you retire and eventually die. A Hokage must do what he or she feels is best for the people he or she watches over. Not only that, but a Hokage knows what is needed to protect the village and not what is in his other personal best interest. That was something Orochimaru forgot about a long time ago when he was here, when he wanted to be Hokage of this village, said Slade, as Naruto's words focus him back to the present at hand. But his response to the boy's question had effectively ended their conversation on the matter, as any more on the subject would put a horrible distaste on their tongues. It was silent the rest of the way till they reached their destination, making Naruto nervous, as he had been to this clothing store before, and had barely taken a step into it before, and had earned him a broom to the head. All thanks to a cashier of a crazy-looking woman who was hitting him repeatedly to get out and to not taint her store with his evil presence before she made him leave in her own way. Slade-sensei, maybe we should, said Naruto, not wanting to make a scene in front of everyone and give them an excuse to hate him further. Don't worry, Naruto. If the woman so much as tries to speak to you harshly, I'll tear out her voice box so she will never speak to anyone ever again, said Slade, remembering the woman's actions and words that she said to Naruto before seeing the boy nod his head and they entered the store. Meanwhile, rumors about the man's presence and what he did at the ramen stand the night before had gotten everyone's attention, and even more so just by hanging around Naruto, aka Demon Boy. Some of the people had saying he was a new breed of ninja, calling him the Special ANBU. A special ninja assassin hired by the Hokage to watch over the 11-year-old boy should anyone try anything. It was also rumored that the man was also responsible for the mysterious deaths of over 2/3 of the children's orphanage's employed overseers, who had all been found beaten and burned to death in their homes or at the orphanage itself, with the children telling everyone that the shadowy fireman did it. Not only that, it was spread through the ninja ranks that a solid amount of ninja who denied Naruto access to the shinobi library met with the mysterious deaths, as well as all that remained of them were broken hands, feet, skulls, and ashes of what used to be that of human remains. It was clear to everyone what the pattern was. All of the deaths had one thing in common with each other: all the people who had died had been mean, if not cruel, to the boy named Uzumaki Naruto. It was no secret to the people of Konoha that those that were employed at the orphanage had done their job of hurting the demon boy on more than one simple separate occasion exceedingly well in his time there. The only one who did not seem to know about the abuse was the third Hokage himself, as the punishment of the demon child endured and continued till the Hokage had set up the now destroyed apartment for him to live in. It seemed to everyone that those who had wronged the boy were getting their just deserts, and the people who hated the boy didn't like it at all. The only one person who was enjoying hearing these rumors, as it had piqued her ninja interests, was Yuhi Kurenai, as she watched them from the shadows. The two figures entered the store after the boy talked to man about something. Unfortunately, though she could not quite hear anything they said due to the noise of the crowd. Well, if any of the rumors are in fact true about this guy, then I'd better stay nearby to watch for myself just to get a glimpse of what he can do, thought Kurenai as seeing Anko, and, for a very brief and yet startled moment, Kakashi in the hospital was proof in itself that to cross this guy meant either pain, death, or possibly both all in one. No longer than 5 minutes after the two had entered the store, Kurenai heard a small shriek of whether it was terror or something else, she wasn't sure, coming from the store below her. Almost in an instant Kurenai reacted on due to her ninja reflexes and had now left her genjutsu created camouflaged hiding spot to jump down from the roof she was on to the ground for a better look inside. She went inside the store ready to draw her kunai at a moment's notice, only to find Naruto now holding a blushing red in the face and fainted form of one of the very few people in the village that cared about Naruto. It was none other than Naruto's biggest fan, as well as the heiress to the Hyuga clan, Hyuga Hinata. "Fancy meeting you here, my dear," said Slade now from behind the woman, scaring her to such a degree she whipped around and stabbed the person behind her in the neck. At least Kurenai had tried to stab the person, as a strong, rough, and yet gentle hand held hers by the wrist several inches away from its intended target, with her red eyes filled with a fire that told anyone who saw them she would go down fighting. Seeing it was the man she had been watching before, lessened the fire and looked at his hand covering her wrist in his metal-covered grip. Slade let go slowly, as if to say he got the message, but wasn't afraid of her all the same or shy about the matter at all. "Mind explaining why the girl is on the floor in the boy's arms?" said Kurenai, looking at the boy who was trying to get the girl awake, and every time he did the girl would take one look at him and faint yet again. "Not at all. You see, as soon as we came in here, the cashier of a woman saw Naruto, not realizing he was with me, and tried to shoo him out again. She swung her broom at him, nearly hitting the girl, and the force of the near miss forced her to retreat backwards away from the woman, causing her to trip on her own sandals back first towards the wooden-floored ground. While I dealt with the woman with the broom, Naruto used his amazing speed and caught the girl before impact, using his own body as a buffer to take most of, if not all of, the punishment the girl would have received from the fall. When she realized he had caught her, she shrieked in surprise. Personally, though, to me it sounded more like a squeak if anything, before she blushed such a magnificent shade of red before fainting in his ever-so-welcoming arms before you came in here," said Slade, as he was ignoring the painful protest of the female cashier on the ground to his left, with her ankle underneath his foot. Under such pressure, it would be ready to be literally broken off should he wish it. Kurenai was not oblivious to all this, and in seeing the woman on the ground with the hate-filled look in her eyes when she glanced at Naruto, it was more than likely that what the man had been telling her was the truth. "It's a real shame that they don't see the boy as a hero of the village instead of seeing him as the well-you-know," said Kurenai, as she would be damned that her ninja career ended in speaking the words that would violate the Hokage's secret law even if this man knew about it. Him being Naruto's guardian was certainly an indication as such, or else the man would not be near the boy. "Right?" thought Kurenai, looking at Slade's when I trying to determine his thoughts, but him to be a closed book to her. "Indeed it is. Nonetheless, we have shopping to do, as I'm sure the girl does too, as well as us, I assume, seeing as she was here for clothing was any indication. Though from the way she was blushing when we first entered, I'm not so sure anymore. Care to join us?" said a now curious Slade, as it was an honest offer, seeing as the Jounin could watch over the girl while he watched over Naruto. Kurenai blushed slightly and lightly at the man's offer, despite how innocent it was, as she had never been asked by the opposite sex to go clothes shopping. It wasn't considered by most male shinobi in the ranks to be manly in doing such things with the female half. Still, this could be her only chance to understand the man, and have Hinata get closer to the boy of her inspirational dreams. "I think I will. It's not often a man like yourself offers such an offer to a lady like me," said Kurenai, missing the glint in the man's one eye. "I'm not like most men," said Slade, chuckling at the woman before breaking the foot at the ankle of the woman now screaming below him, before he and Kurenai went to assist both Naruto and Hinata out of the awakening, fainting, and reawakening habit the two had got time down to a science. Hokage's office 1 hour later, 9:30 a.m. "You can't be serious?" said Irika, who was now so close to yelling that the professor was glad he put up the sound barrier jutsu at the advisement of Slade in the last meeting he had, as some people could not control the volume of their voice when needed. "I'm afraid what I have told you is true, Irika. Kyuubi, like all of us, were pawns as well as victims of Orochimaru's treachery that caused the death of not only your parents, but our beloved fourth Hokage as well. Even if you wanted to hate the Kyuubi, Irika, you can't, said Sarutobi in a sad voice as he had just told Irika everything with the exception of the Kyuubi being Slade who was with Naruto shopping for clothes and ninja training items. I don't believe it, said Irika, his voice spaced out as if he were talking to himself more than the Hokage himself. What's more is that the Kyuubi got the last laugh in the whole affair if Orochimaru was in fact hurt in the ordeal of using the genjutsu on him. If my former student was fatally injured in a wild attack by the fox demon, then it means it forced him to use his still in the experimental immortality jutsu he was creating during his experiments that we had soon discovered underneath Konoha. No doubt using the incomplete jutsu such as that will cause some serious and possibly permanent side effects on the man, which I can assume as well as hope will come back to bite him, said the third Hokage, hoping to get Irika to believe what he was telling him was the truth and not hate the boy, as the man was one of the rare few in the village aside from himself that had seen the boy not as a demon vessel, but rather boy with a great burden he did not ask for to carry with him forever. That is not what I meant, Lord Hokage. Well, at least not altogether anyway, as you are right about not hating Kyuubi for killing my parents. What I really meant was you can't be serious that the academy's own teachers and headmaster would sabotage Naruto's dreams of being Hokage. I mean, I know the hatred for the boy runs deep, but to do that to him seems unthinkable, said Irika, who saw the third open his desk and take out his prized crystal ball to try and find Naruto in the village. One would think so, but sadly it is. You remember what I told you about what was told to me about Naruto's life at the orphanage? Irika nods. I had my enforcer, as you may recall me mentioning earlier, kill most of the employees there that were all in complete and direct contact with Naruto for the abuse they gave him, and nearly killing him when I had him delivered to them. I nearly had a heart attack last night when I had learned that all of them nearly starved Naruto to death, which is why I gave the order to kill them all without a second thought. The guards of the shinobi library found that out the hard way when I discovered that they all had been more than reluctant to let the boy learn what he needed to pass some of the minor parts of his year's training to be a genin, said Sarutobi as he recalled the protest of the ninja he had Slade kill in secret before they died, saying that the boy was a demon and had no right to grow back to being a monster. It was then that Sarutobi's crystal ball showed Naruto walking with Slade, both with bags of different things in hands. The two walked along with Kurenai and surprisingly in their eyes a very shy Hyuga Hinata who would look at Naruto before looking away. Sighs, to be young again and in love. It is a pity Naruto does not know how to spot it, but then again after the way he's been treated I'm surprised there is ever even a smile on his face half the time I've seen him, said Sarutobi out of nowhere, making Irika raise an eyebrow before looking back at the orb to see what the Hokage was talking about. The poor girl that was Hyuga Hinata was always blushing a new shade of red every time she looked at Naruto. When he asked her if she was all right or if she had a fever, it had now made the shyer than ever girl shake her head either up or down or left and right so fast it made one wonder if she was saying yes, no, or that she was being possessed by her own demon, and she was now shaking it free from her mind. You think Naruto will find out how much she likes him, or will Hinata have to do that herself? Said Irika, smiling at the scene in front of him in the ball. Eventually, I think, however, Naruto may not have the time you think he does. Irika, huh? I have spoken to some of my own contacts within the homes of the village and shinobi elders after they all learned that Naruto should have passed both genin exams when he took them twice. Not only is Naruto proving to them that he is not the idiot they think he is, but he is showing that he is much stronger than people give him credit for, said the Hokage, looking slightly worried as he saw someone in the crowd the Naruto was walking by have a stone in his hand, but dropped it when Slade looked in the villager's direction. Killing intent focuses solely on that one person, making the man literally drop dead on the ground, causing a small commotion that thankfully drew people away from Naruto. What do you mean, Lord Hokage? Surely you are not saying that Naruto has been doing what he has been doing while holding back a great deal of his strength now? Are you? Said Irika as he was finding it hard to believe that Naruto of all people would deliberately hold anything back in almost anything he did. One would think that, but not after last night. A ninja came into my mansion last night in search of Naruto yesterday in pursuit of killing him again. The man was found in the morning tied up, bloody, and broken, hanging upside down, nearly dead from being like that most of the remaining night. It turns out this ninja was a high-level Chunin who was going to apply for the Jounin exams next spring, but wanted to kill Naruto to make a name for himself first. When I asked Naruto if he was all right and where his ever-so-watchful guardian was, and Naruto just said, Slade-sensei was sleepy and wanted me to handle the guy on my own. Why do you ask? Smiling the entire time, all before going to the kitchen to get something to eat from one of my cooks who actually respects the boy. His actions, though positive, are making the elders jumpy as they do not want the boy to live to see the next sunrise, much less live at all, said the third Hokage as his age was starting to catch up with him once more, as he felt tired then yesterday, and today had just started. Surely you can protect Naruto, saying it was the dying wish of the fourth Hokage for the boy to live, being seen as a hero. Even the village and shinobi elder would have to force themselves to respect the wish of a dying man like the fourth Hokage whether they want to or not, said Irika, afraid at what the elders thought of his words if they heard him speak out now. Their hatred for Kyubi, it seems, is stronger than their love for my late successor, as I have begun to hear rumors flaring up long before the new information about Kyubi was told to me. According to the rumors, everyone of the elder, both influential and none that hate the boy, are going to unify against me to have the boy killed for the safety of the village, as they called it. The rumors also say that they are going to bring this before me at the next meeting when we all meet next time, coincidentally at the start of the new ninja year for the Genins, said Sarutobi as he took a long puff from his pipe, as he was finding the stress was too much without it, as he had been restraining himself from smoking the pipe piece since 6 a.m. in the morning. What are you going to do? I know they are rumors, but knowing that where the source of the rumors is coming from and when they concern Naruto's future, it is most likely and unfortunately true, said Iruka, knowing this could be a serious problem for the boy. I will have to talk to Naruto's guardian and the boy himself when they return later on tonight, as they currently staying at the Hokage mansion. For now, let the boy enjoy his time with his guardian along with the people he is with, as this is one of rarest things in seeing that boy happy. In fact, he has not been this happy since I helped him enroll into the Ninja Academy nearly 2 years ago, said Sarutobi, slightly smiling at how he remembered how Naruto's face lit up at the thought of being a ninja, with his blue eyes showing true happiness in them. Well, if you ever need help smuggling Naruto out of the village before such a thing can happen, let me know and I'll do without question. No one would ever suspect me, as I'm just an instructor at the academy, said Iruka, smiling before getting up and bowing his head respectively before the Hokage before leaving. Perhaps later, like you, Iruka, they will be able to see Naruto as the hero he is supposed to be seen as, and not that of something made out of their own arrogance, said the third as he now turned his head to the most evil thing a Hokage can face next to one of the 9-tailed demon lord's village paperwork. Training ground 5 to 2 hours later. After their purchases of clothing, weights, Naruto only, kunai and explosive tagged, and his shrunken holsters, with the weapons included inside. Slade, Kurenai, Naruto, and a still blushing Hinata went to the ground to test them out. Naruto got the weights on his legs and arms under his new clothes, which he changed into in the forest area of the training ground, while a furious blushing Hinata was watched over by Kurenai to make sure she didn't use her Hyuga bloodline limit known as the Byakugan to peek through the trees. I know Hinata likes the boy more than she would like anyone to believe, but from the look on her face she might need to receive the talk soon, thought Kurenai as she was seeing the girl now pushing both of her index fingers together, waiting somewhat patiently of Naruto to come out of the woods. Hey Slade-sensei, can I ask you a question? Said Naruto as he put on his pants while Slade had his back turned away as he respected the boy's privacy. Sure, Naruto. I am your sensei after all and here to help, said Slade as the sound of the 50 pounds per leg band worth of weights being put on around his ankle and then being covered could be heard. Why do you still have the leaf symbol burned onto your mask forehead? I mean, did you decide to become an official ninja of Konoha? Said Naruto as he tried put on his 50 pounds per arm band weights on before struggling to put on his shirt covering them from view. Frankly, Naruto, I have not yet decided if I should be or not. Officially? Officially I am a temporary ninja of Konoha, so the answer would be yes, but the key word is temporary. Now hold still, my boy, I have to alter your weights with a special seal known as the seal of the demon, which will amplify your weight's weight with by the standard amount of your natural chakra reserves that you have in your body. The way the seal work is, as you get used to the weights, the special seal I'm giving you will then remeasure you and will amplify the amount of the weight's heaviness by 10x's what the weight was originally, and will then amplify it continuously again 10x's every single time you get used to it. It will be a pain at first, but the end results will bear a lot of fruit when you remove the weights, and you are so fast you could swear you could actually see through time as you move, said Slade, putting the demon's seal on both leg and arm weights that would have sent Naruto straight down to the ground had Slade not held him for a while till the boy got used to it. Thanks, Slade-sensei, said Naruto as he struggled to stand on his own, much less take a step forward to the training ground clearing without trying to break his body from the extreme weight. Fortunately, your body is like your father's and adapts quickly to strain, so you should get used to them momentarily. Soon there won't be a significant chance of you falling down into the ground, creating a crater the size of the 4th Hokage's head, said Slade, seeing the effects of the weights slowly lessening by the second, but just enough that he could move slightly faster than before. If he is anything like his mother, he should be able to master any jutsu I give him, but I do not want to do that for at least another week to see if his second bloodline limit has even activated yet. His father's was called physical endurance, I believe, which I can see has already kicked in. His mother's was rare in her case and the last of her clan when she fell in love with Erasure, but it was very powerful and permanent when activated. Now what was it called again? Oh yes, genetic memory, from what Uzumaki Hikari told me when I last saw her before, thought Slade, pushing the thoughts back of the past and focused on the present task at hand of escorting Naruto out of the forest. When Naruto finally came out sluggishly, Hinata nearly fainted as if she had actually used her bloodline limit to see him getting changed. He was now wearing black pants and shirt, with the upper part of the shirt and the long sleeves having orange-reddish lines that were thinning upward diagonally. It made him look like he was being consumed by a fire that was unnatural if the wind blew just right. He was wearing shoes that were black that were of similar design to that of normal jounin, but were covered at the edge tips with solid steel like his sensei's were. Okay, you two, I want to see how you two would fare against each other. No chakra reinforced gentle fists, just spar with the form, said Slade, leaning his back against a nearby tree, arms folded, watching with amusement at the girl's red face got redder at actual possibility in touching Naruto's body, even if it was only for training purposes. You don't have to worry, Hinata, it won't be so bad. He's now wearing extremely heavy weights now, from if his movements are any indication, and it will slow him down, said Kurenai, seeing Hinata struggling between the urge to faint and the urge to run back to her house, go into her room, lock the door, and then cover herself with her blanket on her head till the end of time. Fortunately, Naruto made sure she didn't do either, walking up to her smiling at her as if all was right with the world. Hey, come on Hinata, my taijutsu need work just as Sakura's hair is pink. By training with me we both get stronger, and I well know where we stand with our skills. Please, said Naruto, giving her a puppy dog eyes that would have put the Inu clan dogs to shame when they asked for something. Hearing his words as well as seeing his face made Hinata's resolve strengthen to train with him, and her urge to faint, or the other more embarrassing thought, faded away almost instantly. Oh okay Naruto-Keikun. Let's do our best, said Hinata, as her stuttering was the only thing that had not left the girl as she got into her gentle fist stance, though from the way she held it was not made to her anyone, much less practice against. That's the spirit, Hinata-chan, said Naruto, got into his own fighting stance, which like his opponent that was Hyuga Hinata, his fighting stance was for practice use only. The battle started off with Naruto charging in first, right fist ready to strike at Hinata, and did so even though she successfully blocked the attack. The hit itself, Hinata analyzed, was only designed to hit her with below average speed and strength, as he did not want to hurt her in a practice spar. Hinata followed up with her own attack move, doing the same thing as Naruto and hitting him with a right of hand of her own with an open gentle fist palm to his middle left side. Naruto saw it easily and leaped difficultly back just in time before the blow connected with him, before getting into his fight stance and engaging Hyuga Eris in combat once more. They are good together, said Kurenai to Slade casually, as the red-eyed genjutsu mistress now leaned against a tree next to Slade as they observed the two kids sparring now at a much more faster, but still practice-like pace. They certainly are. Did you by any chance to talk to Anko or Kakashi in the hospital? Said Slade as he saw Naruto dodge a kick to the face before countering her with a sweep kick to knock her off balance. Kakashi? No, he zoned out like he had been hit with something other than a fist. As for Anko, then my answer is yes. She's still angry at you for the name you called her, and the beating you gave her while in the Hokage's office, from what she told me. Between you, me, and these tree from one person to another, I believe she wants to have nothing to do with the snake Sannin. Why did you ask? Feeling a slight bit of guilt? Said Kurenai, as she never thought this man next to her would be so opposite of what she expected in most men she met. About Kakashi? No. He had it coming long before I did what I did. As for Anko, well, I don't regret hurting her, as it was self-defense, since it seems she has that annoying habit of striking first like a snake. As for the insult, well, I was never much to apologize to someone, as it was not in my character before, nor is it now. I suppose I could send her a get-well card as to start a ceasefire. Other than that, and you're pushing it, said Slade as Naruto blocked Hinata's left open palm gentle fist strike attack by grabbing her wrist with his right hand before spinning all the way around and throwing her into the air, only for the girl to land on her feet. It is a start, and that's good. However, when it comes to ceasefires, to start a friendly type of relationship with someone like you with her, I am afraid that Anko will not know the meaning of the word, said Kurenai as Hinata did her own leg sweep that Naruto jumped over with somewhat impressive grace, landing and charging at Hinata. If she knows what is good for she will accept it. If she does not, well, let us just say I won't be held accountable for my actions next time. Especially if and when she tries to do anything and I'm forced to put her in the hospital with feeding tube down her throat with a dent in her head, said Slade, as when he fights to cripple or kill, as there was no third option in the matter. A dent? Said Kurenai, as she expected him to say something worse than just a dent in her head when the threat came. In medical terms of speaking, it would be officially considered a dent. Though personally I would just call it having a hole in one's skull where bone, flesh, and a good chunk of one's brain used to be, said Slade, eyeing Kurenai carefully as the woman he was now looking at shivered noticeably at his statement. While Slade and Kurenai were having this interesting little conversation, Naruto as well as Hinata were having the time of their lives sparring with each other. Naruto attacked with a strong closed left-handed fist, while Hinata caught it with her left hand at the wrist and tried to kick him in the side with her leg. Naruto saw this and then countered it by grabbing Hinata's leg as it was about to hit him in the ribs, thus putting the two in a deadlock. Want to just call it a draw, Hinata-chan? Said Naruto as he still held her leg like she held his hand at the wrist, both of them panting and sweating as they had been going at it for a while, with either one seeing victory in sight. Why, yes. I need my energy for future gentle F-Fist training today at my home W with F father, said Hinata, slightly blushing now as the two let go of each other's fist and leg, then took 2 to 3 steps back, and bowed, thus ending the match. The two went to a nearby hill near the training ground and just collapsed on the grass as they now enjoyed the wind on their faces as they did what Shikamaru did in a lazy state. They watched the clouds go by with each in their own world with their own thoughts on things. Hinata was thinking about Naruto, and how strong he was by moving at a practice pace with wearing heavy weights. Naruto for the most part thought about many things while looking at the clouds from his weights, ramen, before finally settling onto Hinata and how a nice, shy, with a pretty face. What did I just think? Did I just say she was pretty? Well, it's not a lie. Hell, it's more of truth than any I could ever speak of before, so why should I protest it? Whenever I tried to talk to Sakura, her mother would just shoo me away, or Sakura herself would do it, saying she would tell her mother that I was near her if I came any closer. At least with Hinata I don't have to worry about any evil mothers or any other parent for that matter raining their blows of justice down upon me for being near kids my age. Thought Naruto, frowning as he remembered how Kiba's big sister Hana interrupted their talks that they were having about dogs when she ironically sent her own stupid attack dogs after him after she had been told by her mother to try and protect Kiba from him because he was a monster, as Hana had been told by her mother, as Hana had told Kiba. And Naruto-kun? Are you alright? Said Hinata worriedly, seeing his frown as they were now in very close contact range as she now fiddled with the helm of her oversized coat with her left hand as the right hand was on the grass next to his, less than a strand of grass away from touching each other. Sigh. I don't really know, Hinata-chan, as this whole ordeal with what's been happening to me has been crazy ever since my old apartment blew up, said Naruto, now looking at her with his blue eyes staring back into her near non-existent looking ones while trying to ignore a painful feeling slowly growing on the back of his neck. Don't worry, and Naruto-kun. Why you always get tea through things be bad like these tea things, said Hinata as she had heard about that from one of the servants, even though she wondered why the servant had frowned when she said Naruto was not killed in the massive explosion. Before Hinata could ponder into this, she nearly gasped at the touch Naruto's finger had unknowing touched hers, with making blood rush to her cheeks while making her face look slightly and noticeably red, since like all Hyuga their face were much paler looking than others. His finger is touching mine. The skin has a jagged like edge to it, no doubt, with all the hard work he does, but still feels nice on my hands, thought Hinata as she enjoyed the touch whether Naruto meant to do it or not. Yeah, you're right, Hinata-chan, I just have to aha, said Naruto, only to scream at the sudden pain in his neck that he was in. And Naruto-kun, said Hinata worriedly and confused, nearly raising her voice to yelling level, which had drawing the attention of both Slade and Kurenai to them. What's wrong? Said Slade to Naruto, who was holding the back of his neck as if he had either been burned, stabbed, or something in between. My neck. It feels like it's on fire, said Naruto as the pain was becoming more and more painful. Hold on, Naruto, we're going to get you to the Hokage right now, said Slade as he picked up the boy and immediately left with Naruto in his arms in a burst of flames scorching the earth where he once stood. Kurenai-san, what happened to N Naruto-kun? Said Hinata. Her worrying made her stutter with nearly every single word she tried to speak with. I don't know, Hinata, but I promise you I'm going to find out, said Kurenai as she took off in a swirl of leaves, leaving the girl alone worrying about a certain blonde-haired boy before gaining the courage she needed to rush to the Hokage tower to see the wise old sage about Naruto. I have to see for myself what's wrong. Only then will I have the courage to tell him just how I feel for him, and maybe he will like me back too, thought Hinata as she couldn't help but hope in her heart that he was all right, while at the same time tell him just how she felt, even if it was only crush. The aging third Hokage didn't think anything could surprise him anymore after what had recently happened just a short 2 days' time. However, when Slade appeared before him using his fox fire teleportation jutsu while holding a struggling in pain Naruto in his metal-covered arms, it was then things changed entirely. The boy's ear-splitting cries of pain that he tried to control were now echoing through his once quiet office as Slade put the boy in the chair in front of the Hokage's desk. Slade. What is going on? What has happened to Naruto? Said Sarutobi as the boy continued to clutch his neck with his right hand. It seems the hatred of the Hyuga clan elders towards Erasure knows no bounds from what is on the back of his neck. Take a look for yourself, said Slade as he had seen the mark on the boy before taking him here, and now he needed the Hokage to see this. The Hokage nodded, looking at Naruto from behind, removing the boy's near iron-clad grip on his neck, seeing a seal covered by the back of his blonde hair. It is the same seal used on Erasure when he was training, but this is more advanced aggressive version than the one that Erasure received that only becomes active when someone wishes it, so person goes berserk before their chakra coils burn out, said the third Hokage as he recognized the designed flow of the seal as it branched into parts of the neck where it was said strong currents of chakra flowed from the coils more than anywhere else. It appears someone from Hyuga clan wants the boy to go crazy so they have an excuse to kill him months from now. Such an incident would be fresh in all the villagers' stupid little minds to such a degree that you would have no choice but to give in to their constant demands of killing Naruto," said Slade angrily, standing next the Hokage's desk, unaware he had just slammed his fist down on the solid red oak desk crafted by the first Hokage himself, splintering it all over like a spider web design before turning into sawdust from the aftershock alone. "Yes, but not anyone can remove this one like we did Arashi's. This one, if I am reading the design right, has to be someone from the Hyuga clan, that is either the elder or clan head of it, using his or her own blood to remove it," said the Hokage, as he was ignoring for the moment the fact he would need a new desk for filling out paperwork. "Lord Hokage, what's going on?" said Kurenai as she appeared in a whirl of leaves with a worried look in her eyes at the two men and boy in the chair. "It seems the boy's state of health in this village has become unhealthy and poisoned by those who think they can undermine the Hokage's power through hidden channels," said Slade, showing Kurenai the seal as she walked over to them to see for herself. "I doubt Hiashi will want to help us out with this one, as he has no love for Naruto, even though there was time he once did," said Sarutobi as he put a temporary pain suppressor seal on the boy, numbing the boy's agony for a good 5 minutes, as that was how long the seal he put over the Hyuga one would last before dissolving along with the numbness it produced. "Hiashi actually like Naruto?" said Kurenai, finding that man liking anything after all he's being hard to believe in her mind. "Before Hitome died. About 2 days after the fourth died and 20 different assassination attempts on the boy's life had been stopped, Hitome came to me. She talked me about the possibility of letting the boy stay with her and Hiashi and adopting Naruto into the family to protect him from those who would do him harm. She was one of the very few, Hiashi included at the time, that supported Naruto as a hero of the village as Erasure wished him to be." "She was about to adopt him?" said Kurenai, surprised that it didn't go through, because if it had, then Naruto would have had a much better life. I was about to agree when all the Hyuga elders came in with scowling faces on every single one of their faces. Apparently, when the Hyuga elders found out what Hitome had wanted and was going to do, they were enraged and apparently threatened Hiashi to stop Hitome's dishonoring of their clan, or else they would nullify the marriage and brand both her and their future offspring he had with her with the caged bird seal as a punishment to them both. Hiashi was among the Hyugas there besides the elders in my office before he took her outside of hearing range to discuss it with her silently, said Sarutobi as he now wished he had his pipe in hand, now buried in sawdust and wooded powder that was once his table. "I take it was never resolved even after that point," said Kurenai, as she was beginning to have a sneaking suspicion about Hitome's death was by far from natural, but rather that of foul play. "No. It was publicly known by all that Hitome loved Naruto as if he were her own son and wanted to see him grow up loved by others to promote a happy childhood. We both knew that such love would have prevented any possibility of Naruto hating the village, or if he were to just run away before one day returning and destroying it. She even visited him on days when I couldn't, and keeping a watchful eye on his caretakers while she was there with him. Then one day around Naruto's 3rd birthday she came to me angrily and told me she saw one of the female caretakers beating him with a stick, calling awful names at him, and that I should do something. That was when I got Naruto the apartment and had the female caretaker secretly executed at the hands of Hitome by having her use a gentle fist advanced form of killing that made the woman die painfully, slowly, and for the most part quite effectively," said the third, eyeing his desk wishing for that pipe, but broke away from it as he still needed to fix Naruto somehow. "As much as I would love to hear more of the history of all this, I have already first-hand experienced from the already suffering Naruto before us. Can we continue on with helping him? I'm only asking because the seal you put on is going to wear off soon and he's going to start screaming again in pain," said Slade as the seal the professor put on Naruto was starting to thin out and fade over the Hyuga seal. "Unfortunately, I don't know how though. Only Hiashi or an Hyuga elder could remove it with their clan blood to deactivate the seal, and I doubt Hiashi or any clan elder would be so willing as to help the boy, from what you have all just heard," said a tired Sarutobi, rubbing his temples, trying to ignore the fact that Naruto was quite screwed when it came to getting help at the moment. "Do not be so sure, Sarutobi. You said it had to be the blood of a Hyuga clan head or a Hyuga clan elder, but what about a Hyuga clan heiress?" said Slade, eyeing the door before opening it, receiving a frightening mouse squeak at the panting, tired, and of course a now quivering form of one Hyuga Hinata. "Hello, asked Slade-san. "I wish Tita SC and Naruto Kekuin," said Hinata as she looked up at his mask, finding it odd that her all-seeing bloodline could not see past his face, as she had it currently activated, seeing and hearing everything that was said up till now. "Of course. Who am I to stand in the way of true love?" said Slade playfully, despite the situation couldn't help but smile as the Byakugan was removed from her eyes instantly, and was replaced with a blush on her face. "I wonder if blushing can be considered a bloodline limit? If it was, she would be the first to possess it to such a degree, no doubt about it," thought Slade as the shy girl that was Hinata entered the room, seeing Naruto clutching his neck with the third and Kurenai beside him as he sat in the chair biting back the pain he was feeling. "Hello, Hinata. Come to support Naruto?" said Sarutobi, who found the girl's slight finger pressings and body fidgeting slightly to be humorous due to the comment he just made, but it left the instant Naruto screamed in pain again, no longer able to support it anymore. I assume you heard everything, am I correct, Hinata? Hinata nods. Then I need you to prick your finger just brought to draw some of your blood and smear it on the back of his neck where the seal is, while Slade, Kurenai, and myself hold him down, as removing the seal creates even more pain, said Sarutobi, as he now saw the look of horror on the girl's eyes of hurting the boy she admired, even if it was meant to hurt him. I will try, said Hinata in a barely whisper-sounding voice as she approached Naruto from behind, while the three adults held the boy down by his arms and shoulders. Kurenai handed her a hairpin as they only needed a drop of blood and gave it to the girl, who held it now in her left hand while having her index finger pointing out as if ready to receive the puncture. Hinata looked one more time at a nearly ready to screaming in pain Naruto before looking at her hands before pricking her right index finger, waiting for the drop of blood to come out of finger before spreading it on the seal on his neck. Please forgive me, Naruto-kun, for the pain you are about to go through, thought Hinata, as even her thoughts were filled, stuttering as the last thing she wanted to do was make him suffer. Sure enough, to Sarutobi's belief, Naruto screamed, struggled, and thrashed around in pain as the seal burned itself away as he was held down by the pair's 6 arms pressing down on him. The pain yelled in his head, making Slade wince as the echo of his yell went directly to him, making things for him most unpleasant for both of them. After a good 5 minutes of sheer unremorseful pain, Naruto finally stopped, exhausted, and collapsed back into the chair he was in, unconscious. Well, I'm glad that's over, said an exhausted Kurenai as she had heard from the other kids how Naruto could move with so much stamina and strength. She had merely shrugged off the stories off as nothing more than a bunch of wild tales made up by the children who saw him perform the pranks he pulled on stores and their owners. Looks like they aren't stories after all, and what's more is that if all of them are true, then I have some dirt on several Jounin and A and BU I know I can get favors out of when the time comes, thought Kurenai as she remembered how she heard the story of how a mere 6-year-old Naruto outran 3 Jounin, 5 Chunin, and 2 angry off-duty NBU. He had jumped over them, spilling one's drink on the other, for a solid 5 hours. Kurenai remembered how she had heard how the Hokage finally appeared and put a stop to the rampage they were causing by using a Kage-level genjutsu on all of them, getting them all to calm down. To think this boy, that is Kyuubi's vessel, could get into so much trouble yet at the same time design it so it only helps him in the end, were the final thoughts for Kurenai on the matter as she turned to see a worried Hinata, who seemed to be a good 2 to 3 seconds away from breaking out into sobbing tears over Naruto's current state of unconsciousness. Don't worry, Hinata, all the boy needs right now is few hours of sleep, maybe some old-fashioned instant ramen, and perhaps a get-well kiss from you, said Slade, making Hinata blush so deep a shade of red she looked close enough to resemble a giant grape before she passed out at the thought of kissing her crush. Did you have to embarrass her like that, Slade? Said Sarutobi as Kurenai picked up the girl and placed her on the couch near the door, while Slade chuckled as a trickle of blood trailed down the girl's nose. Funniness aside, we have to talk about the seriousness of what we discovered with the seal that was on Naruto's neck just now, and how his continuous training at being a ninja is being stunted, for the lack of a better word. In order for Naruto to truly reach his full potential and to be strong, to embrace his true heritage, I need to take the boy with me if he is to become strong without interruption, said Slade to Sarutobi, not minding the fact that he was speaking with Kurenai in the room, as she would have to understand things when they were explained to her better. I see. Where will you go to take the boy for training? Said Sarutobi, as he had a strange funny feeling that Kurenai should not be here for this. Why, to Demon World, of course. I have a few contacts there that can help the boy with his training and make him ready for anything this world can throw at him, said Slade, getting Kurenai's full attention, while Sarutobi looked at Slade as if he was about to kill Naruto himself. Demon World? But how can you get there? Unless, said Kurenai, as everything that had happened recently came together for her, from the man's sudden appearance to the man beating Kakashi, Enko, and then killing the villager with his killing intent when the man tried to get a hit in on Naruto with a stone he had picked up as they had all walked by. Sarutobi could only sigh as Kurenai drew 3 kunai into her hands at the ready them at Slade and stood in protective stance over Hinata, ready to protect the girl with her life. I would think after all the time you spent with me with these 2 that you would see I'm not here to hurt you, said Slade, walking slowly towards her, making the woman tense. I don't suppose that you were actually going to divulge you were the Kyuubi and free from your sealed prison? Said Kurenai, who did not know why Sarutobi had not done anything to prevent Slade from being free as he was now. Actually I did. But considering today's events, my hand was forced, and beside, I thought after today you would see I'm not a bad guy, at least not to you. Have I ever given you the impression that I was going to hurt you, or anyone else for that matter that was even close to you? Besides, I am not exactly guilty of the crimes your Konoha elders as well as your fellow villagers have on me. Sarutobi will gladly explain it to you while I go and head to the hospital, said Slade, walking by Kurenai to the door, surprising the genjutsu mistress greatly. Wait. Why are you going to the hospital? Said Kurenai as she found Kyubi, or rather Slade's behavior was slightly different than what she would expect. Why, to deliver my get well card to Anko. Well, that and to snap Kakashi out of his current funk that he is in, but I'll digress, said Slade as he left without another word. Explain, said Kurenai, who was so angry right now she was considering using a special interrogation genjutsu on the Hokage whether it would be treason or not. Sigh, you better sit down, Kurenai, as this will take some time to explain, said Sarutobi, sitting down in his chair, ignoring the noticeable gap between them due to the lack of his table not being there. Hospital. 20 minutes later. Slade walked through the hospital as if he were a normal person and went up to the less than competent receptionist who really wasn't doing her job well. Excuse me, miss, but I am looking for a friend of mine. Her name is Anko, a Jounin ninja of the Leaf. Could you tell me what room is she staying in? Said Slade in a very polite voice that made women swoon over his words. The receptionist was no exception, as she now worked more than she had her entire time working there, all for a single room with one person in it. Oh, let's see here. Here it is, room 263, 4th floor, you can't miss it, said the young receptionist, slightly blushing as the man's voice was the most vibrant voice she had ever heard. Thank you. You have most helpful, said Slade, walking away from the woman and out of plain sight as he used his fox fire teleportation jutsu to reach her room. He knocked politely twice before entering, seeing the woman now wearing a cast around her right arm with bandages noticeably wrapped around her right shoulder, with most of them being covered by the medical gown. What are you doing here? Said Anko as she chose not to hide her disgust for the demon for what he had called her before. Why, I am apologize, of course. For the name calling, though not the injury, said Slade as he proceeded to take out an envelope from his left hand and handed it to her, which she took reluctantly. What's this? Said Anko, trying to feel the contents of the envelope inside with her one hand, as she couldn't do a scanning jutsu yet due to her one arm being inoperable. If you must know, it's a get well card, and you should read it when I leave, as I have to visit Kakashi after I talk to a nurse or receptionist about his whereabouts, said Slade, as his trickster side that he acquired from years of being a fox demon were now telling him to leave, as the gift in the card was not too pleasant when activated. Oh, he left earlier and went home to rest at his house. I don't know the location, but you can ask Kurenai, as she's been there a couple of times. I keep on telling her to go on just one date with the man to get to know him better, but she doesn't listen to me. She keeps saying he is a book-reading pervert just like the guy who creates that junk, and while that maybe it shouldn't stop her from breaking that habit out of him, said Anko as she found the man nice to talk to when he wasn't hurting people like her. I'll ask her eventually when I find time for it. Though it will be difficult to have her tell me now that the fox is out of his vessel, so to speak, said Slade, and it was then that the Jounin ninja that was Anko got the meaning behind his words. So she knows, huh? Shame really when you think about it. She visited me earlier before going out to spy on you after seeing a picture of you, and I think she had a crush on you like that Hinata girl does on your vessel. Tell me, is it true he beat a high Chunin ninja by yourself while you went back inside him to sleep? Said Anko as the rumor mill in regards to that attack had been spreading slowly around the ninja ranks like crazy. As true as I am a demon. Now, if you will excuse me, I must get back to my vessel, as I must go to continue his training. Friends? Said Slade, extending left hand so she could shake with the hand that wasn't damaged in their scuffle. Sigh, we're friends. Though I know I'm going to regret it, said Anko before she and Slade let go of each other's hands and the masked metal form of Kyubi left the room, shutting the door being him. My dear Snake Anko, you have no idea how much you are going to regret opening that envelope. Get well soon indeed. Hee-hey, thought Slade, using his teleporting jutsu once more to get a window-side view of the event before he headed back to the Hokage's office. Meanwhile, Anko just stared at the envelope Slade had given her that held her get well card and opened it with the help of her free hand and her teeth. She took out the card and opened it up and started reading. Read it. Even though you are hurting and in pain, you'll find that most things in life are not without gain. You have found a friend and you have found relief. Don't let this hospital room fill you with grief. If it's not that, then it's the hospital food that gets you down. Soon you will have the strength in you to remove that frown. Get well soon. Sincerely, Slade, the Industrial Saboteur Master. P.S. There is a seal below for you to activate. Press on it to receive my gift. Not one to turn down gifts. Anko looked down at the strange seal, wondering what her gift exactly, and why she had a funny feeling she recognized that seal on it from somewhere. Well, at least the card itself wasn't sappy. Maybe he is not such a bad demon after all, thought Anko, as she had to admit only to herself that demon in that form had a cute butt. Pressing down on the seal symbol, Anko now saw the glowing orange-reddish color of the seal activate before staying silent. Before Anko could understand what was going on, a loud boom could be heard throughout the hospital, followed by a woman screaming in anger at being deceived. That lousy double-crossing bastard. When I find him I'll make him beg for the death god, yelled Anko as she was now covered as well as the room in rainbow paint, as she now realized where she had seen that symbol, as she continued her temper tantrum, not noticing the camera flashing outside the window being used by a masked-faced metal-covered man smiling as he had dirt on the woman to keep her from retaliating. Anko had been in one of the stores that had denied Uzumaki Naruto access a few years back, wondering if she could buy a red short skirt or a gray one when the boy struck. She had her back turned when the boy planted the scroll, and he was gone before she could detect his chakra signature. When she turned around, she noticed the store owner pick up a scroll off the ground and opened it while walking towards her. Almost instantly the scroll exploded with pink and purple paint covering her, the store owner, and all the other customers within the store itself. Immediately she went after the kid, and after an unbelievable chance of a good 20 minutes she caught him and asked him, while he was hanging upside down while holding his ankle, only once why he did what he did, making her look like something from a horror fic. Naruto had explained to her that when he went in there once they hadn't kicked him out and let him buy things at outrageous prices, and at the same time Sasuke came in shortly after paying for similar things at a fraction of cost to nearly free of charge. He said felt he need to teach them a lesson, their customers be damned, and he was sticking to it till the day he died. Hearing this, Anko had let the kid go due to his reasons, guts, and the fact that he was not remorseful, since those who got nailed, with her being the exception, got what they deserved, which was in a strange weird sense correct, as he had been wronged by the entirely. Now she was regretting it, and vowed to make Slade pay for pulling an Uzumaki Naruto on her if it was the last thing she did. When I get my hands on you, thought Anko, as her thoughts of delivering pain to Slade in multiple ways were silenced by a doctor who, after getting past waves after waves of killing intent, hit her with a strong sedative with enough strength to put down 5 people. Hokage's tower. Moments later. Shortly after Slade reappeared in the Hokage's office, the third left them to their own devices and left the room to give them privacy. Kurenai apologized for her actions, even though she felt that she had every right to do what she did. No apologies necessary, my dear, you did what you had to do, and had you known earlier we wouldn't be having this conversation now. How did Hinata take the news of the boy's departure? Said Slade as he was looking over at the girl, who seemed to be in a new position from the one she had been in earlier when she fainted originally. Unfortunately, Hinata did what she always does when she hears something about Naruto, whether good or bad. She fainted, and this time it was out of pure depression. Also, would you please tell me why I just heard an anger-enhanced scream that sounded like Anko's psychotic-filled voice coming from the hospital that seemed to be directed at you? Said Kurenai, as she had a feeling she was going to get an ear full of this later when Slade had left for Demon World with Naruto. I gave her the get well card in hopes that the prank that I pulled on Anko would make her laugh, considering the message inside the card gave it all away. How was I supposed to know that she would in fact be angry instead of laughing her wounds open? Lied Slade, as he knew fully well what he was doing when he gave her the card. I certainly knew, and you should have told me whether you did know or not. I know how Anko acts when someone does something like this to her, and she is going to be having a fit for months on end. She will try to get you back for this even if she has to go to Demon World herself, said Kurenai, as it was a well-known fact that anyone messing with Anko would either be dead to wish to the gods they were. Not if I hold on to the pictures of her being covered in rainbow paint, she won't. And in case she tries to take the original from me, which she cannot, I have duplicates ready to print in the Konoha newspapers. Here, take 2. One for Anko to know I have reputation crushing dirt on her, and one for you to hold on to just in case she tries to make your heart-filled day purely miserable. You can hang it over her head to get her off your back almost any time you feel the need to. Take it from me, as I have lots of experience in these types of matters, Kurenai. It helps to have a solid edge over someone like her, even though she is your friend, said Slade, as he had handed her 2 copies of the original picture of a paint-covered angry Anko that, when seen, Kurenai couldn't help but laugh at seeing Anko the way she was. I have to admit it is funny, said Kurenai as she pocketed both photos, but put each one in separate pockets so Anko wouldn't know she had a copy till the woman bugged her on a really bad day. What's funny? Said Naruto, coming around, as he had been out for some time since the Hyuga seal had been removed and the third Hokage taking this time to come back into his office as he needed some things. Nothing, Naruto, just a private joke I'll tell you later. However, you and me need to head to Demon World so we can continue your training without interruption, said Slade in a serious voice, getting Naruto's full attention. When do we leave? Said Naruto, getting up only to find that his weights were making it difficult to move with already exhausted legs. Right now. We'll be back on the final day of next year's exam, so you will be able to get your ninja headband. You are also going with just the clothes that you have on your back, Naruto, so make sure you take care of what you have on. I also trust his clothing and the other items we bought will be here when he returns? Said Slade, getting a quick nod from the third before the old man motioned for Kurenai to get them to bring them back to his office to put in storage when the time came. I was wondering why he got Naruto clothes that would look baggy on him. Now I think I understand why, thought Kurenai as she knew exactly where the packages were. Okay, let's go, said Naruto, walking over to Slade, who called forth demonic chakra to his metal hands as he did several hundred seals perfectly before the chakra became blood red and the chakra reshaped itself into claws. Demonic jutsu, demon world portal, said Slade in a deep demonic voice that made Sarutobi shiver, remembering what happened 11 years ago, while Kurenai shivered for an entirely different reason, though if anyone asked she would say out of past reasons before ending such a conversation. Slade ignored them and slashed his 2 demonic chakra clawed into empty space, tearing a hole, or rather portal as the name suggested. Naruto, just so you know, since you would have technically passed had the teachers cheated you in the last exam, I'm making you an unofficial ninja now, and you will declared one officially when you return, said the 3rd Hokage. Looking in, they all could see a vortex of sorts swirling purple like waves of energy, with lightning striking different areas in the vortex randomly. Wait! Yelled Hinata, who had surprised everyone in the room as no one expected her to scream that loudly before. When Hinata had awakened originally from her faint episode after removing the dreaded seal on Naruto's neck, Kurenai had, with the permission of the Hokage, explained to her the deep secret Naruto kept from everyone. She also told her that what he held inside of him was in fact Slade himself, and the history behind the man and the Hokage. She had accepted that as it seemed logical when she analyzed it all, from the hate-filled stares that Naruto received, how they chased him out of stores even before would try to set foot in them, and how she remembered when she was younger her mother would get into loud arguments with her father over the safety of Naruto. Especially after her mother had told her father the beating Naruto had received at the orphanage before getting the apartment. If I don't do this now, I will regret it forever till he returns, thought Hinata as she began calling for all the internal strength she had to her heart to overpower her shyness. If Naruto falls in love with that girl and they settle down, he is going to be in for the ride of his life with her on their honeymoon. Hehe, thought Slade as he and Naruto were a few steps away from the entrance to Demon World. What is it, Hinata-chan? Said Naruto, looking at her curiously, all the while the girl was blushing once more to no end and looked like she was struggling with a decision about doing something or not. IW wanted to T to say BBS strong in D Demon W World, and I will BBT2 in T this 01, said Hinata, who did the next thing neither the adults nor Naruto himself saw coming. She kissed him on the cheek before backing to see a now stunned, blushing Naruto in front of her. T thanks H Hinata. IW will, said Naruto, as it was the only thing he could say at the moment before Slade stared, laughing. I think Hinata has created the first ever stuttering jutsu in the history of this world, said Slade, patting the boy on his head, snapping Naruto out of his trance as they walked into the portal that closed up behind them after they went through it. You did good, Hinata. Not only did you see him off, but you got him thinking about you as a possible girlfriend in the future, thought Kurenai as she saw the shy girl blushing a whole new red the Jounin never thought could have existed with a spaced-out look on her face. Hinata? Hinata? Are you alright? Said Kurenai as she waved a hand in front of the shy girl's face, only to realize that Hinata had done something no other woman had ever done before. She had fainted while she was still standing. Demon World. Naruto and Slade exited the portal with it closing behind them as the two looked at their surroundings. Purple sky with black clouds, sinister-looking trees, and finally there were demons and animals with glowing red eyes looking at them like they were fresh meat. However, once they sensed what Slade was, they backed off instantly, knowing it was a meal ticket that very few, if any, could afford. The smell, brimstone, pure evil, and the ever-loving stench of death. Can't you just smell the glory of it all? Said Slade, breathing it all in deeply as he did when he first got out of Naruto's body. Naruto, on the other hand, just looked around, finding the place more disturbing than Slade did, though with Slade being a former human psychopath now turned demon lord, it was only natural that he find this place to be comfortable. So Slade-sensei, what are we going to be doing first? Said Naruto, wondering what sort of training they were going to do. What you are going to do is be quiet while we have a little talk with your demon tenant who resides in you, said a voice in the shadows that appeared in the form of a short man wearing nothing but black down to his shoes, with tips of white at the edges of his dark black hair, and a third now slightly glowing eye on his forehead. Hello, hi, I see you are alive and healthy. Is Kurama around? I really need to speak to both you and my cousin if he has not already been killed yet by some demon, said Slade, ignoring Naruto's bug-eyed look at finding out that he had a cousin, or the fact that this three-eyed person in front of both of them was only a few inches taller than the boy was. I'm here, cousin, alive and well, like hi, though you being alive is a very difficult thing to imagine right now. We had heard rumors of you being dead, but seeing you standing here before us proves the rumors are unfounded, said Kurama, his long red hair in a ponytail while wearing a white-robed kimono with gold lines running down the arm and the leg sleeves. Well, the rumors, as we all now know, were exaggerated. However, I am not here to go about discussing prefabricated deaths. I am here to have you two assist me in the boy's much-needed training to become the ninja he wishes to be. starting with the much-needed purging of the malnourishment from his body to help in him reaching his proper height for when he's older, and then giving him the juggernaut like the one you posse's high, said Slade, making everyone's eyes widen at Slade's last half of the sentence. At his age he might not live through the procedure, and the person who did mine has been dead now for 5 years now. As far as I know, no one was as precise in such skillful surgery than him, and if you say me, then my answer to you in advance in the matter is no. I am not going to do it, said High, as he could believe that the demon lord would have him do such a thing. I wasn't asking you, High, as I need you to train him in controlling it as well as the dark powers it possesses along with being his sword master. I want my cousin here to perform the surgery, as he is the only person within our family that I know of he can be just as good with a scalpel as me, said Slade, now getting Kurama's full attention and surprised at that moment, though he should have expected it considering High was never, or was for that matter, the obvious choice. If you're so good with a scalpel, why not do it yourself, said High, though it was more of a statement than a question. Because I have to be in Naruto to make sure he doesn't die after the juggernaut has been implanted on his forehead. Kurama is the only one I can trust with the operation. I want him to be considered invincible when we return to Konoha. I want them to see just how strong he is so that when he becomes Hokage of the village they will have a lot of crow to eat for the way they mistreated him. Now are you in or out? Said Slade, looking them in the eyes with his one waiting for their response. I'll help you, cousin, but not because you are related by family. They say no bad deed goes unpunished, and if what you are saying is true about him being mistreated by the people in the village, then it would be a fitting punishment to have him be strong enough to become the Hokage as you say he should be, said Kurama, receiving a nod from Slade while Naruto was just mentally shocked. You got me in too. After all, someone has to teach him how to master the juggernaut and the dragon of the darkness flame, said High, as he was considered the one true master of the fire, and he had been meaning to take on an apprentice as of late as any master would. Good. Let's get started right away, said Slade, as they all turned to Naruto, who could only gulp comically as he knew he was in for a rough ride. This is going to hurt a lot, but it's worth it, I hope, thought Naruto, as he could only nod his head, and the four went to an undisclosed location to begin what would be considered miserable as hell for Naruto. A now shirtless Naruto now stood in an undisclosed location in a room where apparently High received his juggernaut. The demon of the vessel had put the boy into a demonic meditative trance to focus on the boy's body directly. The trance was taught to Naruto by Slade so the nine-tailed demon lord could use the seal to his advantage in helping the boy. The seal, aside from being Fox's prison, was also designed to absorb his power into Naruto, turning the Slade's power into the boy's. However, Slade had something else in mind when Naruto went into the trance, as it was the only way to do what it was he had to do. Slade had taken temporary control of the boy's still baby fat-filled body, and instead of channeling his demonic chakra into the seal, he redirected all of Naruto's chakra through it instead. He directed it into the boy's muscles, throughout the boy's bone structure, and other vital parts within Naruto. As expected, the once noticeable malnourishment the boy had received when younger from near starvation as well as from just eating nothing but ramen disappeared. The boy grew slightly taller, his baby fat had been removed, and even his eyes became bluer, if possible. Do not worry, we're almost done, Naruto, just try to hang in there for just a few more minutes, thought Slade in a dark voice as a result of the mind link the two shared. I know, but it hurts. I can feel my bones growing, and those that were cracked and nearly broken when I was younger are being fully healed. I think you will agree it's not exactly pleasant to feel your body as a whole grow on you like this than just letting it grow at a natural pain-free pace, thought Naruto as he was feeling the pain of having his bone structure, muscles, and everything else in his body that was stunted now stretching out. I agree, but you must bear with it, Naruto, for a little while longer, thought Slade as he had nearly finished draining all of Naruto's chakra from his body without killing him. Meanwhile, Hai and Kurama were having their own discussions about the two and what they had been told about the boy's life so far. They found it unusual in their minds that Slade would help the boy instead of just trying to break free from him. They also found it unnerving that the village Naruto grew up in would hate him rather than treat him like the hero they should have been. That village's behavior towards the boy stinks to high hell, Kurama. If I had my way, I would have burned that place into the ground, all of its people into ashes, take the boy, train him, and turn him into a force to be reckoned with. What does Slade do? Treats the boy like a son or close relative and actually wants to help the kid become the Hokage of the village. Do you now see why I wish I hate humans and could just kill them without having to worry about the repercussions? Said Hai, leaning against a wall while Kurama got his tools ready for the operation. Hai, I think what Slade is doing is perfectly natural for him despite it being slightly out of character for him. You must understand that he and the fourth Hokage that died were very close like brothers and treated each other as such in their time together. To be placed under a genjutsu and appear before your brother to kill him and his village without reason is not a life that needs living. How would you if you lost your own free will and suddenly killed your twin sister with your own hands? Said Kurama, who got his answer quickly enough with a sword to his throat. You leave her out of this. You know fully well genjutsu or not I would commit seppuku before harming her. Anyone who would hurt her would feel my wrath 100-fold if any harm came to her, myself included, said Hai, removing the sword and sheathing it away. I do not question your loyalty or devotion to your sister Hai, but I did want you to see things from my cousin's point of view. Speaking of my cousin, could you please check on Naruto for me? I am ready to start the procedure. To think it's actually hard to get such an much less a patient willing to receive it, said Kurama as he had the tools, the demon version of life support equipment, and of course a cylinder jar with one healthy Juganai ready for implantations. Fine, but if you so much as call me a nurse in this operation, you're the one who's going to need an eye surgeon, said Hai before minutes later he came in carrying an exhausted, shirtless, and noticeably taller Naruto who was several inches taller than before. Man, this kid may want to cut down on all of the instant ramen he eats. He's heavy as hell, said Hai, dumping Naruto rudely on the table while Kurama just laughed at the man, realizing why Naruto was so heavy for Hai. If you paid attention, Hai, you would notice he was wearing weights that are amplified as it is with the seal of the demon. Though I suppose it does not really matter since it will actually help in restraining him when we begin the procedure, said Kurama, who rolled the tools with the Juganai in a jar to a now silently cursing Hai who had ignored them as a fashion statement. Let's just get this damn thing over with, Kurama. The sooner he has the eye installed the better, said Hai as he quickly fixed the restraints at Naruto's wrists and ankles around the weights placed on him. Kurama readied the scalpel in his hand and parted the hair around Naruto's forehead as he secretly thanked his cousin for wearing out Naruto. If he was at full strength for this procedure, then the boy's weights, the table restraints, and Hai himself wouldn't be able to hold back Naruto from thrashing around, as he was as human felt pain more sensitively than demons do. Just remember how you're teaching the kid first, said Kurama before he began the precision work on opening the forehead before Hai could protest, as silence in doing the surgery was an absolute necessity from the man's experience in this matter. Human world, Konoha. 1 week later. Sarutobi was not having a good day at all as the village and shinobi council of elders held an emergency meeting in concerning the whereabouts of one Uzumaki Naruto, the vessel of Kyubi. Lord Hokage, we need to know where the boy is, as he is a threat to everyone in this village if we do not know his exact location, said one village elder with his wrinkles almost as deep as the third's. Yes, it's only fair as we don't want it to be used against us, said an even older-looking shinobi elder from one of the minor clans in Konoha. It? You make it sound as if the boy is not even human. I can assure you that Naruto is alive, well, and he is not a threat to Konoha at all, despite what you all believe, said the third Hokage, as he felt it was sickening that some of the people in certain parts of clans in Konoha, both major and minor, considered the boy more of a weapon or it than a living, breathing boy who was entrusted with a great burden no one should have to bear. It is not a he, Lord Hokage. It is our weapon at best, and is an abomination and a monster at worst. The fact that your age blinds you to the truth makes me wonder if you are fit to even be Hokage, said the man, making all the elders widen at that remark, as none of them would ever say that. Are you challenging me for the title of Hokage Elder? If so, then come at me right now, but know this. I may be old and getting on in my years, but you should never ever try to underestimate me, as I have seen things you have yet to. Should you try to come at me, I would welcome it, and I will not hesitate to kill you should you try to, said Sarutobi as he released a wave of compressed killer intent solely at the man, as Slade had taught him just before he left for Demon World with Naruto. As expected, the man froze in fear at the sheer intensity of the compressed killer intent before grabbing his chest and falling down from having a heart attack. The meeting after that had been put to a close at the moment, as no one knew what had happened except for Hyuga Hayashi, as he had seen a change in his eldest of his daughters, Hinata, shortly after Naruto was found to be missing from the village. Something is going on here and I need to find out what, whether it's for better or for worse, and I hope it's not the latter, thought Hayashi, as the change in his daughter was making him happy, but also more disturbed. Somehow Hinata's posture straightened and her eyes showed determination, along with her gentle fist stance being noticeably sharper, more agile, and more aggressive with deadly precision. It had become apparent to the man that one Uzumaki Naruto's disappearance and Hinata's newly found fire of determination were directly or indirectly related to each other. Lord Hokage, may I speak with you for a moment? Said Hyuga Hayashi after the meeting came to an abrupt halt due to the elder's heart attack approaching the old man who was leaving. What is it, Hayashi? I have to break in my new desk to do important Hokage-type business in my office, said the third Hokage, as he didn't want to be bothered by Hyuga affairs yet again conflicting with a certain Jounin yet again. I know, and I will be brief. It is in regards to my daughter Hinata and her recent behavior during the absence of Uzumaki Naruto. I believe the two events are somehow related if not connected to each other in some way. I would like to speak with you about in your office where others won't listen in, said Hayashi, as he needed to know if the boy had done something unnatural to her to make her this way. Of course, Hayashi. I think you should know something to put your mind at ease. Come to my office in about 10 minutes, and I will tell you what I can, said Sarutobi as he headed for his office to prepare the sound barrier jutsu ahead of time. Demon World 2 weeks after surgery. Naruto woke up after what seemed like forever from his mindscape as Slade and him had been working focusing on the new attachment to his head. Not only that, but they decided to alter the entire mindscape itself from the ground up from something else other than just a dank and dripping wet sewer. With the help of Slade's advice, Naruto turned the mindscape into something with lots of gears and moving parts one would find in an old pocket watch or old clock tower. Inside Slade's sealed cage, since he could not be anywhere else inside Naruto's head, Slade was given a metal throne of sorts. With the newly attached Jugun, I gave him a better view of the world within Naruto's mind with multiple monitors using the boy's new Fox senses. Fox senses that Slade had empowered Naruto with during the time Naruto's body slept for the week. He was watch everything around the boy as if he could see even with his eyes closed. My head feels like it went put through a meat grinder. Oh well, at least my training went well, said Naruto not to anyone in particular as he looked around to find himself in a near-empty room. All in all, you did a good job, Naruto, as you have gotten much stronger with each training session you had in here with the ninjutsus, genjutsus, and taijutsus I taught you. You have mastered the Shadow Clone Jutsu, my Fox Mirage Genjutsu, you mastered the Henge, my Fox Fire Teleportation Jutsu, and you've become pretty effective in your taijutsu as well. Now it only takes you 300 punches or kicks to hit me. Last time it was 10 times that many to get close to me, or even graze my arm. Not bad when training for just 2 weeks in your head, huh, Naruto? Were the thoughts of Slade now smiling at his much stronger apprentice through the mirror in the room Naruto was in through the boy's eyes. Should I try to open my Jugunai yet, Slade-sensei? Said Naruto out loud, feeling the bandage on his forehead gently as he didn't want to hurt it. Maybe later when you are with Hai. But for right now I need to talk to you about your family before you can learn anything else from me, thought Slade, now getting Naruto's full attention when he said the word family to him. What about my family? Said Naruto looking at the mirror, as now he only realized his body was different than he last saw it before Slade fixed him. What I am about to tell you is very important, my boy, so if, and when you respond, talk in your mind, not with your mouth. I would rather no one, but you hear this should you try to repeat what I say to you, thought Slade, getting a nod from Naruto as he looked through Naruto's eyes into the mirror. Okay, I'm talking to you through my thoughts now, spill, thought Naruto as he was both happy and angry he was about to learn about his family, but at the same time wasn't told sooner. First I want to tell you about your mother who regrettably died bringing you into this world, but not before naming you with her last breath. Her name was Uzumaki Hikari and was, in the words of your father at the time he met her, the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. You carry her last name Uzumaki since her marriage to your father, while at the same time carrying you was done in secret to protect you all from his enemies he made in the last Shinobi War, said Slade, sighing at the end to himself, feeling the boy's sadness and grief knowing that his mother died bringing him into this world and her last breath was his name of all things. This next part will destroy Naruto, and what is worse, I have yet to tell him about both his bloodlines he has received from both of them, thought Slade to himself, so the boy would not hear him, as there were some times he did not say anything through the strong mental connection so that they were his private thoughts. You said my mom. Now what about my dad? Did he even love me? Did he abandon me? Did he even love my mother at all when he found out about me? Thought Naruto, filled with depression as he was now crying on the outside as well as inside out of pure fear, pain, and sorrow. Sigh, what I'm about to tell you, Naruto, is something that may make you angry like you were before when I revealed myself to be the QB sealed inside of you. You see, just after you were born I had made my way to Konoha with the third, a strange-looking man with long white hair named Jiraiya who taught the fourth Hokage, and the fourth Hokage himself fighting me along with all the shinobis that fought beside him. You see, Naruto, the fourth Hokage could not seal me into just anyone, as he couldn't just trust any child with the task of containing me, as this child had to be special in his own way, thought Slade, letting it all sink in as it was a lot to take in. His own way, thought Naruto, confused as to what he was talking about as Slade was being more cryptic than usual.